Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. This is a story about what if Naruto becomes a Saiyan thanks to Vegeta. Before I start, please support for more amazing content and do consider subscribing to my channel and share this video with your friends. This is written by BRADW316 and link in the description and support writer. Let's start the video. Vegeta growled softly as the dimensional rift that Janemba opened, then threw him into it. Cursing the purple creature and hoped secretly that Kakarot found a way to defeat and destroy him. Probably fused with his brat, was his stray thought as finally the rift opened, causing the Prince of Saiyans to plummet, but instead of crashing into the ground he landed on something soft and furry. Confused, he slowly got to his hands and knees. Staring down, he saw a large hill of red fur, and some 40 yards away, he spotted arguably the second largest animal head he had ever known, aside from his own in his Azaru form. What is going on? He didn't have to wonder long as a huge roar of rage sounded around him. I will not be resealed. This caused the Saiyan prince to ponder what the heck that meant before something odd started to occur. He saw the large creature's head lose all kinds of cohesion and start spiraling downward. Before he could even begin to understand what was going on, he felt himself getting pulled down into the same spiral as well. The last thing he saw before blacking out was him spiraling toward the stomach of an infant and seeing the infant's parents bleeding profusely from a massive hole in their stomachs. What happened? What have I fallen into? Bah damn you Kakarot, this is something that could only involve you in some way. It took Vegeta a few minutes to realize he was in a dark space, and his only company was the massive creature that he had been dragged in with. He also noted that all his injuries from his fight with Janemba had been healed and felt the Zenkai boost he got from those injuries healing. Looking up at his roommate, he gauged the creature's appearance was that of a giant fox. Great, I'm stuck in wherever this place is with an overgrown furball with a birth defect, honestly 9 tails. Who are you besides making for a delicious light snack? The Kyuubi growled, lunging his paw forward, only for the Saiyan to stop it with a single finger. Vegeta gauged the huge monster's power level. Bah, you bore me creature, your power level isn't any higher than that pathetic older brother of Kakarot, Raditz. Really only 1500. I am the strongest Biju in the world, the only one to surpass me was the Sage of the Six Paths, the fox explained, only for the Saiyan prince to laugh. If you're the strongest of this world then this planet is utterly pathetic. The prince looked around and could sense both his and the fox's energy draining. I feel a pull on my energy. We were sealed by the Shinigami. The Gaki's parents sacrificed themselves to prevent me from running amok, the fox growled. If that fucking Uchiha hadn't been there I could have ran for it, but no, his infernal Sharingan and his infernal Genjutsu. The Saiyan prince crossed his arms over his chest looking up at the fox. We appear to have plenty of time, so explain to me about this world. Though reluctant, the fox explained to the Saiyan about the ins and outs of the shinobi world, the 5 great shinobi nations, his hatred of the humans, his fellow Biju, the Sage of the Six Paths, the Uchiha, the Senju, and the Uzumaki clans, as well as stating all 3 descended from the sage. When he was finished, the Saiyan prince pursed his lips and thought, I see, interesting. This Madara Uchiha's power level would probably be on par with that of Zarban's base form, and if you combined with the Gaki we are sealed in, you could reach the power level of Zarban's transformed state. Ha, the lot of you are weak. I bet I could kill this Sage of the Six Paths without even using 1% of my power, Vegeta thinking, looking up at the seal, then over at the huge fox, then smirked. And I think I know a way to free myself from this stupid seal and give the Gaki a chance to get revenge on this Uchiha who killed his parents. And what way would that be, foolish little ninja? The fox growled, though he was worried this little being had stopped his attack with a mere finger and called the father of shinobi a weakling. But it was the strange gleam in the Saiyan's eye that put the fox on guard. Vegeta smirked, slowly lifting into the air until he came level with the fox's face. So this seal will be able to draw this chakra from your body over time. I wonder what would happen to your chakra if I destroyed your body. Well, only one way to find out. Vegeta powered up and brought his arms out, spread eagle. Final, the Saiyan brought his hands together and a massive ball of energy appeared. Before the fox react, the energy lanced out toward it. Flash. The fox barely registered the pain before it vanished in a massive explosion. Once the smoke cleared, all that was left a large energy outline of the fox before the energy was pulled toward the pipes lining the walls and disappeared. Just as I figured, Vegeta said softly, looking around, and grumbled in annoyance. Great, now I have to wait until the Gaki gets pulled in before I can bestow my powers to him. Maybe I should have waited until then to kill the furball. Bah, I didn't need the headache. What do you mean I can't take him? Hiruzen cringed, looking at the dark-haired and dark-eyed woman resembling most of her clan. He is my godson. I'm sorry, the civilian council already pushed the motion through. No one is allowed to adopt him. Makoto, I'm sorry, the old Hokage stated sadly. Makoto's eyes were filled with rage and sadness. Who told them? What asshole told them about the seal? I suspect Danzo or your husband. I have no concrete evidence, so I'm leaning more towards Danzo, Sarutobi explained. Doubly so since he's already petitioning to have Naruto placed in his root program. Absolutely not, that would weaken or destroy everything Minato and Kushina died for. Mikoto's own knowledge of seals, hailing from her friendship with Kushina, and her training from Jiraiya as a part of his genin squad. I agree, Sarutobi sighed heavily. Suddenly both of them felt a massive surge of chakra. What was that? He whispered when a bright flash appeared from the bassinet that was holding Naruto. Both Mikoto and Sarutobi ran over and looked down to see Naruto glowing chakra pulsing all around him for a second before slowly dying down. When it was done they saw Naruto's hair change from blonde to a reddish orange. Outside of that not much changed. The seal also changed slightly. Sarutobi turned to the Anbu in the room, get me Jiraiya, today. Jiraiya stared intently at the seal a few minutes before standing at his full height and scratching his head in abject confusion. According to the seal, the fox's chakra has fully been absorbed, but something is still sealed inside, though for the life of me, I don't know what. Damn, this is confusing. The fox is dead? Mikoto asked looking hopeful. Yes, but for the life of me I don't know how. It would take unfathomable power to accomplish it. Jiraiya crossed his arms shuddering. Sensei, whatever killed the fox is still inside the seal, that's why we still have a seal, and whatever it is by far thousands of times stronger than any Biju. Your recommendation? Sarutobi asked. The toad sage glanced at Mikoto, no doubt hoping to get to finally take her godson and raise him. However, Jiraiya was worried about this thing that killed the fox could be possibly an even bigger threat. With a heavy heart and sigh, changed nothing. What? Mikoto shouted. No, I refuse to let you both do this. I promised Kushina to look after him if something happened to her, the exact same promise you made to Minato, Jiraiya-sensei. Do you seriously believe I want to do this, Mikoto? Jiraiya shouted back. Do you seriously think I want him thrown to the wolves? There are two factors we have to take into account, Minato's enemies and the fact we can't trust your husband. Mikoto winced looking down. You seriously believe Fugaku would corrupt Naruto in some way? That or try to kill him, and not for being a Jinchuriki. He despised Minato and Kushina, wasn't even secretive about it. I know you have your heart set on it, Mikoto, and I would gladly do the same, but we draw too many lines straight to Naruto, while Inoki has no real ill will toward the Konoha. Many of his shinobi do, and they'll want to destroy what's left of his legacy. I want to protect both, so as much as it pains me I have to let Naruto go. At least until the Chunin exams, after that I'll make him my apprentice. Mikoto slumped down, tears falling from her eyes, glancing at the bassinet holding her godson. Every maternal instinct in her was screaming to grab the boy and run, but it was clashing with the fact she had two sons already. Sobbing in guilt and remorse for what she was being forced to do, she nodded. If I can't raise him, I at least want to watch over him. If those orphanage matrons so much as lifts one finger on his head, except to clean it or pat it for being a good boy, I want full permission to slaughter them if they raise their hands in anger. Sarutobi nodded looking grim, understood, and I'll make sure they know you'll be overseeing his care from a distance. With a silent nod the Uchiha matriarch left. Mikoto entered the Uchiha home, sullen expression on her face, knowing she would in for more than a few sleepless nights, holding off nightmares of her dead friend, excusing her of giving in to the Hokage and her sensei too easily. So the little demon isn't with you, a male voice stated, and before he could utter another word more he felt a kunai blade against his throat. Know this, Fugaku, I never agreed to our marriage. I don't or never have loved you. In fact, I hate you so much sometimes I cannot see straight. I had hoped to bring one sliver of love into this compound, but I was denied. The only things that have come from this marriage were Sasuke and Itachi, even then it was forced. I will not let you touch me again. My skin was raw enough from the scrubbing I had to endure afterward, the woman stated coldly. Fugaku's eyes narrowed. You are mine. Never, if Itachi and Sasuke hadn't been born I would have annulled the marriage claiming you were sterile, but know the 2 times I was forced into your bed by the elders just so they could have their heir and I get pregnant. Mikoto's Sharingan activated. If I find out that Danzo was involved in either of those occasions I will gut you personally. If that is ever the case I'll make sure you die right next to me, Mikoto, this I promise you, Fugaku stated coldly. Mikoto's Sharingan spun wildly, glaring at her husband. From this moment on, Fugaku, I'm moving into the house on the far edge of the compound. I love my sons more than anything, but I hate you and will be removing myself from your clutches. There will be a blood clone to keep up appearances for the clan, but as far as I'm concerned, we are no longer married. Fugaku watched her leave the room, growling low in his throat. Neither he nor his wife saw the figure in the shadow watching the conversation. Kasen hates Tausen. XXX Uchiha massacre. Mikoto sighed heavily. It had been a long week. The mission she went on had been easy enough. Head to the land of Iron Guard, the fire daimyo's wife, while she and the wives had a mini summit discussing the trade agreements and other things their husbands overlooked. Escorting the woman back had as uneventful as the trip there. She entered the tower shortly before closing for the day, handing in her mission scroll. It was on the way back when she felt the distinct pressure of killing intent coming from the Uchiha compound, then she saw the ill omen of the blood-red moon, blood is being spilled. She rushed toward the compound. The moment she entered she spotted a couple of the advanced guards sprawled on the ground dead from various sword wounds, very distinctive sword wounds, those wounds, Itachi style. She made it to roof to hear an ear-splitting male scream. Sasuke. Running pushing her body to breakneck speed, she found Sasuke slumped on the ground with his brother standing above him stoically. Itachi. The woman stated holding two kunai loosely in her hands. Asen, you were right to hate father, he would have destroyed the village in his greed, Itachi stated solemnly. So you killed him and everyone else, even those not in on his plans, why? Mikoto asked feeling her heart break slightly. No, I didn't kill everyone, only those involved in a coup d'etat against the village, however I didn't come alone, and he was the one who slaughtered everyone else. Fugaku though killed your blood clone, forgetting that it wasn't you, Itachi frowned deeply. He truly had slipped into madness, is that our real curse, not the Mangekyou Sharingan but true madness? Yes, I was the exception, or I thought I was, she stated, her eyes transforming into Mangekyou Sharingan. How? Itachi asked. Ashina's death at the hands of the Kyuubi was the instigator. I lost the closest thing to what I had to a sister, and then I was denied my godparenting rights. The grief compounded so much that after my words to your father they changed, it's why I left so fast. Mikoto put away her kunai. Where will you go? Lord Jiraiya offered me a place in his spy organization, I'll take him up on his offer, he's worried about a new organization and their goals, Itachi explained. Osachi, Jiraiya-sensei wouldn't ask you to help him if it wasn't important, the Uchiha matriarch stated. Asen, Sasuke believes you to be dead, Itachi stated. And I will be, Mikoto Uchiha died this night. I'll move into the same apartment complex as Naruto-kun and alter my appearance. The woman watched as her eldest son vanished before turning to her youngest, frowning slightly, feeling the blood clone's memories slowly trickle in, and what she saw made the frown only get bigger. You are entirely too much like your father Sasuke, so I hope for your sake you don't end up like him. Chapter 1. The Saiyan prince had mostly watched his charge as the both boys struggled daily with the glares, cold shoulders, and a few times on his birthday physical attacks. These benefited the boy more than even he knew. Ha, these idiots don't realize what they are dealing with. The boy is slowly turning into a Saiyan, and the Zenkai boosts they give him during these assaults only makes him stronger. Then Mizuki tries to kill him and only firms the Gaki's resolve. I felt an even bigger draw a couple of weeks ago. I wonder what happened then. Vegeta frowned, remembering the draw brought about by intense sadness and rage, almost even to go Super Saiyan if the Gaki had all his power. What will it take to get him draw on my powers enough to pull him in and speak to him, he thought, noting a huge new barrier appearing over the cage. The Saiyan prince snorted, extending his hand and blasting the barrier. Before it could settle in the real world, it blasted Orochimaru across the forest canopy, but the impact from the initial seal still rendered the boy unconscious, the perfect opportunity for Vegeta to finally pull Naruto into his seal. Where am I? Naruto asked groggily. You're in the seal, Yugaki, stated a voice. Do you have any idea how long I've been trying to do this? The whiskered Mark Jinchuriki spun and came face to face with something he wasn't expecting, a man only slightly taller than himself. Are you the fox? Ah, the fox has been dead since you were a day old, Gaki. No, I am Vegeta, and I am the prince of all Saiyans, the man stated, crossing his arms. Really, wow, that's kinda cool. So what do you want? Naruto asked nervously. To get out of this cage for one, but if I did it the old-fashioned way you die, the Saiyan prince stated coolly. Plus it would waste the potential to bring forth a new Saiyan race into this world. So here is my proposal, take the seal off and absorb all that I am into you, my knowledge, my strength, my abilities, and my DNA to become the first of a new breed of Saiyan to combine this chakra and Kai into something infinitely more powerful. And what's the catch? Naruto asked, not trusting the man completely, who simply smiled. Not as dumb as you betray, Gaki. Fine, the catch is I want to die in this world, so those I left behind will wish me back with the Dragon Balls and return me home. This will grant me a massive Zenkai boost, hopefully to put me on par with Kakarot, Vegeta explained. Aside from my powers and abilities you'll be given from this, I'll use the second and third wish to return your parents to you, considering they reside albeit partially in the seal, though I'm not 100% sure it can be done, the Saiyan stated, pointing at the slip of paper. However, I feel their souls and they are lying dormant. This leads me to believe they wanted to meet with you at some point in your life, mostly likely it was to deal with the giant furball. Naruto looked at the seal, shaking slightly, almost wanting to rip the seal off, just finally meet his parents. The deal that was given to him had almost zero downsides, if anything. It was arguably the sweetest deal anyone could possibly make, power strong enough to kill a Biju, and to have his parents in his life again. It's too good to be true, he whispered sadly. I have seen your life, Naruto, Vegeta being uncharacteristically sympathetic. If anything, this is the least anyone can do for you for suffering you've had. May whatever deity you would have to give you this, I feel you deserve them 10 times over, and that is coming from someone who blew up planets for fun in my youth. Looking pale at the mention of destroying an entire planet so casually, not even the Biju capable of such a feat, why you really blew up an entire planet. Several actually your planet's strongest warrior, this sage of the sixth path Shinra Tensei technique, could create a huge crater. Its power level I roughly surmise would be about 560, though gauging it without first hand, seeing it is moronic at best. Vegeta paused. However, with that in mind, this man at most had a power level was 2500 strong, but not enough to do more than make the surface uninhabitable. The same with this Madara. The fox cursed about their strength and speed, barely scratched the sound barrier. The strongest of us, if he wasn't a complete baka, could destroy an entire galaxy if he wanted to. The Saiyan prince let loose a snicker, mentioning his longtime rival. What are you? Naruto asked tentatively. Vegeta growled slightly, I'm the second strongest in our universe, followed by the Baka's Gaki, then my son and the Baka's second brat, then the Namekian and finally the Q-Ball's wife. You'll understand what I mean when I give you my abilities. Naruto nodded, thinking hard before taking a deep breath and walking up to the cage door, taking a shuddering breath, his hand hovering of the paper seal. With brief swish of his hand the seal was gone, revealing a strange spiraling mechanism. However, this was rendered mute as Vegeta slammed his palm into the door, sending the gate flying over Naruto. No sooner the gate crashed to the ground, two figures appeared between him and Vegeta. Is what you say true? The male figure stated as the dim gloom of the sower changed into a brightly lit white space. Naruto, however, recognized the man instantly, the fourth Hokage. The woman standing next to the man looked equally confused, expecting to see a large fox looming over them. Are you my cousin and Tausen? The woman had long flowing red hair with deep violet-colored eyes, staring back at the boy with such love and compassion, it caused Naruto ache. The woman knelt and stretched her arms wide, and it was all the invitation the whisker-marked blonde needed, flinging himself at the woman. Oh my Sachi, the woman whispered, tears streaming down her face as she enveloped her son in a warm embrace. Asen, Naruto whimpered over and over, sobbing. I take it you heard from the seal, and yes, what I say is true. However, I'm not 100% positive you can be revived, simply stated it is a gamble. Your souls have not fully gone to the other world, yet therefore it is possible that the Dragon Balls will revive you, Vegeta explained. I'll take anything at this moment, Minato Namikaze stated softly. I also agree with what you're about to do. If anything, I like to join you, give all my experience to Sachi. Kushina Uzumaki nodded. Then let us begin, Vegeta walked up, putting both his hands on Naruto's shoulders. Now the two of you put a hand on my shoulder. When the fusion begins we will vanish and officially die, leaving everything to your Gaki, and I pity all those he encounters afterward, for they are in for a world of hurt to anyone that pisses him off. Both Kushina and Naruto cackle slightly. Few seconds later the entire area glowed. XXXDBZ Universe Purunga, my first wish is to revive Vegeta and bring him forth to this world, Den shouted. Your wish is granted. The huge muscled dragon spoke, a flash later, and Vegeta stood looking around before crossing his arms, glaring at Goku and Den. Took you long enough, I've been waiting for 13 years, Kakarot. The Saiyan prince scowled. Goku blinked, scratching the back of his head in confusion. Really, wow, the time jump is amazing, it's only been what, a month, Den. Not even that, 3 weeks since Janemba. He's dead by the way, Den explained. What is your second wish? The dragon growled, looking on impatiently. Vegeta stepped forward, looking up at something 10 years ago he would have gladly asked for immortality. Den, the world I came from, two people sacrificed their lives to protect their home and son, sealing a part of their souls into a seal to help maintain it. Even though their physical bodies had expired, does that include their souls? Den looked confused but addressed the Namekian dragon, and its reply, no, their souls had not been sent to Otherworld until recently, therefore the deaths count as recent. Do you wish for them to be revived? Yes, for the second wish I like to see Minato Namikaze revived, and for the third I like to see Kushina Uzumaki revived, Vegeta stated to Den, who relayed the wishes to the dragon, whose eyes glowed with each wish. With that the Dragon Ball zoomed into the air, then split soared into 7 different directions. Both Den and Goku were smiling at the Saiyan prince. What? I'm amazed at you, Vegeta, it's the first time I believe you were thinking of someone other than yourself, Den stated. Vegeta growled, turning his head, his cheeks turning pink. Bah, I did it to pay back this Gaki I met. In return of getting a massive Zenkai boost, I gave him my knowledge and powers, as well as giving him back his parents, considering his life was worse than mine. Goku patted the prince on the shoulder. I get it, you're alright. Shut up, Kakarot, when we return to the earth you owe me a spar and an explanation on how you defeated that red-skinned goofball Janemba, the Saiyan prince states. Sure, but can we stop back at my home? I'm a bit hungry, Goku stated, a bright smile on his face. Fine, Vegeta's own stomach growled. I hope your woman doesn't mind cooking for one more. Nah, Kai won't mind, I think, Goku chuckled, putting his fingers to his forehead as he grabbed both Vegeta and Dend. A second later, with a brief goodbye to the gathered Namex, the trio vanished. Chapter 2. Two figures appeared in a large rocky area some 2 miles outside Konoha. One was dressed as he died, wearing his Jonin attire with the fourth Hokage cloak white with red flames on the hem. Next to him stood a beautiful redhead, dressed not in the maternity clothes she wore when she died, but an outfit that often depicted her secondary title of Red Death, a sleek blood-red bodysuit, an armor harness that crisscrossed between her breasts with armor that protected her shoulders, armored-backed fingerless gloves, shinobi boots that extended to her knees, her Konoha headband tied to her forehead. She bore 2 Kadachi, one strapped to her right shoulder, and the second across her back. It would seem that Vegeta-sama wishes were granted, Kushina-chan. Kushina nodded, her eyes darting around for a second. According to what we saw in his memories, Sachi and his team are in the Forest of Death, taking the Chunin exams. Yeah, Minato frowned heavily, focusing on the Horatian seals he had placed in secure areas around Konoha, in case he needed to be there at a moment's notice. Most of the seals are still intact, care to scare an old man shitless. Kushina smiled an evil fox-like smile, the same kind Naruto would get before pulling a massive prank. Oh yes, I have a couple of people I want to talk to, namely Sachi's godparents, and they better have a really good reason for neglecting their duties or Kami help them. The blonde former Hokage shuddered internally. Few things scared him, but an angry Kushina downright terrified him. He wrapped an arm around his wife's waist, and in a yellow flash the two vanished from the field. Naruto sat up, looking around. He spotted Sasuke unconscious next to him, sweating profusely, and from what the whisker-marked Saiyan could sense, the Uchiha's chakra was becoming foul and tainted. However, he could sense a power level just outside. Jumping to his feet, Naruto raced out, instantly on guard, seeing the Odo Nin from the first exam in periodic states. The Kunoichi of the group was down, bleeding from her mouth. The one who looked like a mummy was slowly standing up, while the one with the wild-haired had Sakura down, his fist reared back. When this one let his fist fly, slamming into Sakura's cheek, something in Naruto just snapped. Why you touched my Sakura?" Everyone looked up as a massive blast of energy exploded out of the whisker-marked Saiyan. A second later, Naruto vanished and reappeared on top of the wild-haired Odo Nin, who barely had a chance to register shock before his head was literally caved in by a punch so fast and hard that the very air made a thunderclap. The Odo Nin was dead before his body went flying into the forest at supersonic speed. Naruto vanished again. The mummy Odo Nin tried to dodge the incoming blow he knew was coming, but he might as well be moving in tar. The strike was just too fast. Elbow embedded in his gut liquefied his internal organs before he too vanished into the forest, his body getting blasted away by the impact. The orange-haired Saiyan turned to the lone Kunoichi walking up to her and extended his hand, a ball of energy forming. "Give me one good reason not to end your miserable life," he stated coldly. Naruto, stop, he heard Sakura stated, trying to stand her face and body, looking battered from her defense of her teammates as Team Guy and Team 10 looked on in awed horror. They had never seen anyone in their lives move that fast, not even Guy and Lee could move that fast using the gates, unless they opened them all. "Her and her teammates attacked us in attempt to kill us. Give me one good reason not to remove her from this mortal coil," Naruto stated surprisingly viciously to those in the group that knew him from the academy. Sakura stood there stunned. "What did that Orochimaru guy do to you, Naruto?" The rosette-haired girl walked up to him and did something uncharacteristic for her. She put her arms around him. "Please, she's not worth it." She heard a sigh and felt more than saw him drop his hand. She then felt him turn in her arms and pull her into his arms. The moment those two arms wrapped around her, she felt safe, warmth. She was also a bit annoyed though now that she felt danger had passed. "And who said I was yours?" she muttered, trying to step away only for Naruto to hold her in place. She looked up into Naruto's eyes and what she saw startled her. "You are too good for Sasuke," came the reply, and before she could protest, the orange-haired Saiyan zipped in, kissing the rosette deeply and passionately. Fireworks exploded in Sakura's mind. At first she wanted to hammer Naruto, but as the kiss lingered, she felt her hand slowly go from pushing him away to simply staying in place to slowly snaking their way around Naruto's neck, one hand desperately grabbing the fabric of his jumpsuit, while the other was actually pushing the back of his head into her more. "I'm kissing Naruto," and her mind came to a brief halt as she melted into the kiss more. "Oh Kami, he's good." When they finally separated, Naruto took 2 steps back, admiring his handiwork, glancing at the other gathered, smirking at the dumbfounded expressions, not mention nosebleeds coming from Ino, the Odo Kunoichi, and Tenten. Meanwhile, inner Sakura had her own 2 cents to add. "Sasuke, do you have a scroll?" Turning to the Odo Nin, who nodded, handing it to him. Naruto looked at before slipping it into his hip pouch as the group slowly came back to themselves. Sakura slowly crawled out of her kiss-induced stupor. She glanced at Naruto and blushed. Team Guy left after making sure Naruto and Sakura were good. Team 10 left after Ino helped Sakura straighten her hair. The lone Odo Kunoichi, however, had been tied up. No sooner had Sakura finished the last knot Naruto felt Sasuke wake up. Sakura better guard our prisoner. Before asking what he meant she saw Sasuke appear. Sasuke, are you alright? She asked, not noticing she didn't use the kun suffix. It did hurt that Naruto hadn't called her Sakura-chan though. Never felt better, came the cold reply. Like to try my new power though. Sasuke glanced around then focused on the tied up Kunoichi. She'll do, maybe after I break her I'll use her to revive my clan. The Uchiha paused as if to think about it. Yes, that sounds perfect. The Odo Kunoichi tensed in fear before the orange-clad boy stepped in between her and the Uchiha. Not going to happen team, so get whatever perverted shit in your head out. Sakura watched on horrified. Did I just hear Sasuke say he was going to rape that girl after he beat her up while she's defenseless? That can't be true. Get out my way dope, it's not like you can beat me, Sasuke sneered. Naruto snorted, crossing his arms over his chest. That power boost you got has two things working against you. One, it makes you a pansy since you can't do anything on your own, and two, it don't hold a candle to the power boost I just got. So unless you want your spleen pulverized you'll back off. This girl is going to INT, said girl nodded frantically. She'd gladly take that over the prospects of getting beaten and raped repeatedly by that monster. Sasuke ran forward, kunai drawn. Sakura shouted for him to stop. He ignored her. Annoying little bitch, after I take care of Naruto and have my fun with the whore behind him, I'll kill her, claimed Naruto did it. Running and seeing Naruto hadn't even brought out a kunai defend himself lunged forward only to be intercepted by Naruto's finger. The Uchiha repeatedly tried to stab Naruto with the kunai, only meeting each strike with his finger, which wasn't even bleeding. It's not possible, how can he be that fast? He was never that fast before. What was he even more infuriating was Naruto's expression. He looked bored to tears. GRR, jumping back, Sasuke went through a series of hand signs, fire style. Fireball jutsu. He watched in satisfaction as both Naruto and the Odo Kunoichi were enveloped. Now Sakura, hold still, this will only hurt for a moment. He stated cruelly, turning to the rosette-haired girl who looked on in confusion for a second until she saw her crush drawing another kunai. Oh, you didn't just imply you were going to attack Sakura-chan, came a voice from the smoke, causing the Uchiha to spin around. He saw Naruto step out of the smoke completely unharmed, along with the Odo nin. For the second time since entering the forest of death, Sasuke felt terrified. How? Naruto glared coldly at him before seemingly vanishing and reappearing right in front of him, grabbing his shirt. Listen here, you team, I can take you bad-mouthing me, trying to burn me or kill me, but no one threatened Sakura, the orange-haired Saiyan growled. She is off limits period, and if I didn't need you for this second exam, or that would make Sakura cry, I'd have killed you for even thinking of laying a hand on her. Do I make myself absolutely clear? How did you get that kind of power? Sasuke growled in anger, fear, and envy. Do I make myself absolutely clear? Naruto growled through his teeth, completely ignoring the Uchiha, increasing his kai with each word. I don't give a shit about your stupid revenge against your stupid brother for whatever stupid reason you have. I'm giving you fair warning. You try to betray the village or try to kill anyone I consider precious, I will make sure it's the last thing you do, that is a promise. The Uchiha shivered internally in fear. What he was feeling dwarfed that of Orochimaru or his brother as Naruto shoved him away violently. Okay, we can make it to the tower now, thanks to, what is your name by the way? Naruto turning to the Odo nin. It's Kin, the girl stated, causing Naruto to smile. Right Kin, thanks to her we got both scrolls, the Saiyan stated. Naruto, that Orochimaru guy swallowed our heaven scroll, we only have the earth, Sakura replied tentatively, then raised an eyebrow as Naruto curled into a ball. No he didn't, but he did something far worse, Naruto muttered, tears in his eyes. Recovering slightly from his bloodlust, Sasuke snorted, and that would be? He burned up my storage scroll filled with 5 days worth of Ichiraku ramen, Naruto shuddered. The horror. Sakura huffed, but inwardly she was happy. Apparently not everything about Naruto had changed. She instinctively licked her lips, which had become slightly puffing from the kiss she shared with him. My first kiss, and it was with Naruto of all people, and I liked it. No, not just liked it, I wanted more, I wanted him. What about Sasuke? Sakura glanced at her long-time crush, shuddering, remembering the bloodlust aimed at her. That bastard wanted us dead, and Naruto-kun saved us, protected us. Here's an idea, when we get to the tower let's have Minage see twice with Naruto-kun and Hinata. Her inner personality stated. Sakura frowned slightly. What are you talking about? Inner gave her a lustful grin. Think about it, riding him in a way he'll never forget while we watch little Miss Hyuga princess squirm from Naruto-kun's tongue, and just thinking about it gets my panties wet. The healthy blush decorated her face watching Naruto and Sasuke plan their route to the tower. Naruto was able to surprisingly draw a very detailed map of the closed-in area. Why include Hinata, and why are we even having this conversation? I like Sasuke, not Naruto. I do right. She asked her inner. First, by what Kakashi sensei said about Naruto-kun's life, 2 girls is the least amount of payback Whiskers deserves. As for Sasuke, the guy just tried to kill us, only a complete moron or a really bad manga writer would even consider staying with him after something like that. And didn't you hear the passion in Naruto-kun's voice? Didn't you see the unconditional love he has for us in those beautiful baby blue eyes of his? Sakura remembered seeing them just before Naruto kissed her, the same love he poured into the kiss that followed, the same kiss that made her heart pound so hard in her chest. The trek was agreed to the trio and their prisoner headed in the direction leaping into the trees. Their path took them through forest, having to stop briefly to help a red-haired girl with glasses who being chased by a bear. Naruto turned the huge mammal into tenderloin and was shocked to discover this girl was in Uzumaki. She joined them on their trek to the tower, asking a dozen questions. Upon reaching the tower with no further incidents, they discovered the secret to the scrolls and opened them. Who appeared wasn't someone the trio suspected, and one had a look both confusion and rage. "Not possible, I saw your body on the ground, how can you be alive, Kasen?" Makoto Uchiha looked at her son for the first time in 7 years without a henge or clever makeup, and it wasn't even a look of guilt or remorse, no, it was a look of abject disappointment. "What you saw was a blood clone, it dissipated 2 days after the massacre. I haven't been in the main compound since you were a year old, Sasuke. Why you left a clone to raise me and Itachi, what kind of mother would do that?" Sasuke growled. "The mother who outright despised her husband, I didn't want to marry him, I didn't want any children from him, I was forced to crawl into that bastard's bed," Makoto glared at Sasuke. "If it had been my choice, you and your brother would never have existed, at least not in your present forms, reminding me daily what that fucker put me through," the woman cursed. Sasuke stood there stunned at the venom coming from the woman who gave birth to him, in contrast to the clone that raised him who had been far more docile. "Then why let me think you were dead? To protect you and your brother? Do you truly think Itachi didn't slaughter his clan unless he had a reason to? Your power-hungry sperm donor wanted to take over the village and kill my godson simply because he was Minato Namikaze's son," Makoto stated. Sasuke glared at the woman, "Then you should went on along with it like a true Uchiha. The Uchiha are a cursed clan, has been since Madara, to be born into that clan, and I'm glad it is almost extinct," Makoto said, glancing at Naruto, her harsh gaze softening. "It's wonderful to finally see you face to face without all the layers of genjutsu and makeup. You look so much like Kushi-chan and Minato-kun." Naruto smiled, scratching the back of his head. "Yeah, well, if things were done right, you've probably seen Tausen and Kasen already." Makoto winced slightly. "Yes, Kushi-chan went on the warpath, I think Jiraiya-sensei is still feeling the effects of it." While Sasuke seethed internally, drawing the conclusion easily that Naruto of all people was his godbrother through the conversation, Sakura was completely stunned for 2 reasons: Sasuke's mother appearance, her animosity toward her own son, and the fact that Makoto stated Naruto's father was the 4th Hokage, and somehow not only was the 4th alive, but so was his wife. Wait, you're saying that the 4th Hokage is alive?" Sasuke stiffened, having forgotten who Minato Namikaze was in his anger or the fact that his mother and Naruto stated that he was alive. Makoto nodded. "Yes, how that came about however is classified, only ones who know are me, Jiraiya-sensei, the 4th Hokage, Kushina Uzumaki, and Naruto here." The Uchiha matriarch gestured, crossing her arms over her chest. "Kushi damn near killed the old man when he explained his reasoning, if Minato-kun hadn't been there." She looked up at the ceiling sadly. She wanted so badly to hug the redhead when she saw her, but the heated glare she received when she first appeared made it almost impossible. It was only through explanation and surprisingly her sensei and the old Hokage taking the blame that saved her from Kushina's anger. When the explanations had been given out and Makoto told Kushina that she did her best to look after Naruto, even after she'd been denied her godparenting rights, that the two had a tearful reunion, hugs and a surprisingly passionate kiss from the redhead that was used as a prank on the 2 raging perverts in the room, who were blown back by massive nosebleeds. Even Minato had one. "Minato-kun has no idea how many times Kushina and I discussed sharing him. I wonder if Kushi-chan's offer is still good. I'm still young, and Kushi-chan has no fox in her, now we could provide Minato-kun with a big family he's always wanted, not to mention give Naruto real brothers and sisters." Putting those thoughts aside, focused on her wayward son, godson, and the rosette-haired girl. "You've passed the 2nd stage of the exams," she raised an eyebrow at the redhead and brunette in the room. "What do we have here?" "Eren Uzumaki," the redhead stated softly. Makoto smiled. "Are you really? Well, that will make Kushi-chan ecstatic. She was afraid her clan was all but dead aside from herself, her Sachi, and her second cousin." She then turned to the tied-up Odo Nin. "And the prisoner? Her name's Kin, will Crazy Snake Lady and Scars be nice to her?" Naruto asked. "I think she may have info on that Orochimaru team we met in the forest." The Uchiha matriarch glanced at Naruto, then at Kin, and finally at Sasuke. "Show me your neck, Sasuke," she said firmly. Sasuke reached up instinctively to the mark on his left shoulder. This caused Makoto to frown deeply. "Better have Kushina look at that, she's already disabled Anko's Heaven's Curse seal." Leave it alone, Sasuke glared at his mother before he could back up any further. Naruto gave him a measured neck chop, knocking him out. There you go, Abasan, Naruto smiled as the dark-haired boy slumped forward for the orange-haired Saiyan to catch him. Makoto smiled, thank you, Karen, Kin come with me, Naruto you and Sakura are free to roam, there are rooms down the hall, and to the right for you to sleep, and there's a kitchen to left if you're hungry, Kushi-chan and Minato-kun will be here tomorrow, they're meeting with the village council to confirm it is them, and then they are going to lay down the law so to speak, Makoto's smile turned predatory for a second. I would pity the civilian council if I cared, but I don't. Naruto returned the predatory smile with one of his own. After that Makoto threw Sasuke over her shoulder and ushered her charges away leaving Naruto and Sakura alone who headed toward the rooms to drop off their gear in one before heading off to eat. Once inside Naruto walked over to the farthest desk and went about putting his gear on the nightstand by the table he heard the door being shut, he turned hearing footsteps rushing toward him, Kai he was sensing wasn't hostile, so he simply finished his turn and felt two arms wrap around his neck and then a pair of lips latch onto his own, knowing who it was he deepened the kissing, causing her to moan. Sasuke is not good enough for her, I'm not good enough for her, but I don't care, she's mine, and I'll do anything to protect her. Naruto thought feeling Sakura slide her arms to his chest, lightly grabbing the fabric of his jumpsuit, which he mentally stated he was going to toss the moment he and his parents got a place to live or had a place to live. When they separated he looked into the jade green eyes of the girl that meant more to him than anything in the world, there was confusion in those eyes, but he could see a spark. She wanted him but wasn't sure if it was because of the kissing or if it was genuine. Take your time Sakura-chan, he said softly. I don't know what's going on, you're both the same as before, but you're way different and what I see when you look at me it's kind of scary, Sakura admitted. Naruto nodded, I want there to be an us, Sakura-chan it's an even bigger dream than my wanting to be Hokage. Sakura gently played with his jacket sleeve, what if there was another girl who wanted you as well? Hinata, the orange-haired Saiyan stated causing her to widen her eyes, I've gone through a lot of changes Sakura-chan in the last few hours, some I'm willing to tell you, though you probably won't believe, heck I wouldn't believe it, but it happened. Tell me please, Sakura gently begged. Do you want Hinata-chan to join us? Naruto asked and only got a nod, with a soft smile the Saiyan leaned in again began another deep kiss, and again Sakura moaned into it. Chapter 3. Sasuke Uchiha began to wake feeling the back of his neck throbbing and he was in a particularly bad mood. He kept his eyes shut and didn't move sensing two people in the room with him, judging by the faint breathing he could tell they were both female, one was the person he begun to hate almost as much as his brother, mostly for her total lack of loyalty to her own clan. Well that's done, Dadabane, a cheerful sounding female voice stated closer to him. Orochimaru is so sloppy, honestly using a corruption seal, with a venom-based chakra-boosting seal, and a subliminal mental seal, would have turned my poor godson into either a raving lunatic or a vegetable. I shouldn't be surprised though that Baka couldn't seal his way out of the Chunin exams when he was genin according to Mito Abasan. Sasuke cracked his eye open to see who referred to him as their godchild. What he saw was arguably the most beautiful woman he ever seen in his life, the long red hair and violet-colored eyes, athletic curves hidden underneath a skin-tight kunoichi outfit. Her face while cheerful looked vaguely familiar, like he's seen it before. Makoto sighed, will he be alright though? Stress from the seal and whatever corrupting effects had been placed on him are still present, can't do anything about that, brain chemistry is not my forte asked Kunoichi, Dadabane, the redhead stated, making the Uchiha male frown slightly at the verbal tick, which was remarkably similar to the one Naruto used. Most likely he is a flight risk, he got a taste of that foul crap, and according to Anko, Orochimaru intended it to be addictive, so the Heaven's Curse seal will be used. I essentially forced Sasuke to go cold turkey. I see, if Yugaku hadn't been bad enough instilling him with all the arrogance and elitist bullshit that got our clan in the wars with the Uzumaki and Senju back in Madara Uchiha's day, now we got to deal with Orochimaru messing with his mind further outside of the Tsukiyomi that Itachi nailed him with before leaving. I'm surprised Lord Hokage even allowed him to be a shinobi, I'm sure he's not mentally right for it, Makoto stated causing anger to rise in the Uchiha male. What do I do Kushina-chan, regardless of the circumstances I still love my sons, Makoto frowned sadly. Though I may have given him the impression that I hate him because of his father. Kushina chuckled sadly, still tactful as ever I see, is it any wonder why I did all planning when we pulled those pranks? The Uchiha matriarch pouted turning her head, so I suck at tactics, I had Minato-kun and Tuchi for that on my team. The redhead snickered before giving the other woman a sad smile, I'm not one to give advice on raising kids, Makoto-chan. I never got to raise my Sachi, I died remember, and not once since being revived have I not regretted what happened to my son. The redhead had tears in her eyes. Naruto is ever right to hate Minato-kun and I, but he doesn't if anything because of the memories he absorbed through Vegeta-sama. He said he understood where we were coming from, gave us both hugs, she then giggled. Sasuke raised a mental eyebrow at the mention of this Vegeta. But he did punch his father in the gut. Makoto crossed her arms over her chest looking depressed. He forgave me as well, after the third explained to him the reasons why I wasn't allowed to raise him after your deaths. The Uchiha matriarch began sniffle. He forgave me, how can anyone be that compassionate or forgiving? Kushina wiped her own tears away. I guess he inherited his grandfather's soul. My dad was always like that. I bet he forgave Kumo as he lay dying after they attacked my home village. The women held a companionable silence while Kushina went about cleaning up. Sasuke however held an even lower opinion of Naruto now than he did before. Forgiveness and compassion. I knew the dope was weak, but this just shows much. I'll never forgive that woman for abandoning me and father or condoning Itachi's actions. But the dope's mother got rid of the seal, and now I'm weak again. I'll leave the village once I become Chunin. This place is for the weak anyway, all I need is to kill one of the stupid fangirls to get Mangekyou Sharingan. I would kill the annoying pink-haired one, but I'm not strong enough to take on the dope right now. Speaking of which, who is this Vegeta and what did he give Naruto to make him so powerful? Even I could feel it coming off of him in waves. You awake Gaki? Kushina lightly tapped the male Uchiha on the forehead, causing him to scowl and open his eyes. Wow, really grumpy when you wake up. Yeah, he's definitely Fugaku kid, the woman stated in a cheerful chirp, reminding him so much of her annoying son. HN, Sasuke grunted. Okay Makoto, he's all yours, the grumpy Gus, the redhead pouted. Yeesh. The Uzumaki woman picked up her sealing brushes and left the room. This left an infuriated son and a chagrined mother behind, one glaring and the other raising her eyes, letting out a tired sigh. I hate you, Sasuke growled. Sharingan activated, the Tomo spinning wildly. Makoto closed her eyes, activating her own full evolved Sharingan. You are my son, and I do love you, regardless of whose sperm was donated to conceive. But know this Sachi, if you so much as think of running off to Orochimaru, I will not hesitate to track you down and kill you. He will not get the Sharingan, that is a promise. I'll make one of my own. When I'm finished with Itachi you will be next, Sasuke stated coldly. Don't start something you won't be able to finish, Sachi, because I guarantee there will be a lot of obstacles that will get in your way. I don't shy away from my friends and I'd gladly take their help in a heartbeat. Makoto's own Tomo's begun to spin. Don't go this route, Sachi please, it only ends in tragedy for both sides. You turned your back on the clan and were willing to raise that dope, that makes you both a traitor and weak. My mother died during the Uchiha massacre, loyal and in her proper place. You are nothing to me, the Uchiha male explained. The corner of Makoto's eyes teared up slightly, but that was all. Her face looked like it was chiseled from stone. I see, very well, I'll leave you alone, Sasuke Uchiha. Seems I was mistaken on who my Sachi was, turns out he died during the massacre as well, farewell. With that the Uchiha matriarch left the room without a backwards glance, however tears fell from the woman's eyes as she walked down the hall. Damn you Fugaku, I hope you're burning in whatever hell you are in. XXX flashback 2 hours before Minato and Kushina were waiting in the shadows while the civilian and shinobi council members began taking their seats. What caused Minato to frown most was the amount of civilians on the civilian council. It had increased by 3 since he had been Hokage, glancing over at his wife, who was clenching and unclenching her hands. This meeting is called to order, Sarutobi stated, puffing on his pipe. A miracle has occurred. What, the demon died in the forest of death? One of the civilians stated, looking hopeful only for a second, then his head came off his shoulders and a fountain of blood exploded from his neck. Everyone jumped back, fear evident in the civilian's eyes. Sarutobi sighed. Kushina. Said woman appeared in the light followed by her husband, both glaring at the civilian council. The woman questioned bent down and wiped her kodachi on the corpse before sheathing the weapon. Next person uses that derogatory statement about my son again, I'll fillet them alive with a dull rusty kunai. Why dull? Minato asked with a raised an eyebrow. Kushina smiled sweetly at her husband, because it'll hurt more, Minato-kun, you silly. That's Kushi-chan alright, Sum barked with a smirk. The question is how. Blame our son, Kushina stated with a sad smile. And before you bakas, she glared at the majority of the civilian council who looked like they were going to protest. Get any ideas of bad-mouthing him or denying he did such a thing? The fox has been dead for 13 years. Matter of fact, it died 2 hours after it had been sealed inside Naruto. She turned to the shinobi council. How many of you remember the huge surge of chakra that night? She then turned to civilians. How many of you ingrates felt the intense pressure in the air that night? That was the death of the fox. Ibuki tentatively raised a hand. I remember that night, it felt like everything was pushing me to the ground for a brief moment and it woke up my Sakura-chan. Troublesome, Lord Hokage, why weren't we informed, or why didn't you have Inoichi do a mind walk? Shikaku Nara asked. They all heard a meaty smack as the old Hokage slapped himself on the forehead. The old man went senile for 13 years, Kushina snorted, crossing her arms, glaring at the old Hokage. Sarutobi nodded sadly. I should have, then Naruto would have never endured the hardship he did. You're lucky, Vegeta-sama stated. All the physical abuse Sachi endured gave him what is called a Zenkai boost, Minato explained. What would that be? Choza asked. For every assault Naruto endured or near-death experience he had when he recovered actually made him stronger. If the academy hadn't sabotaged his shinobi training, he would have been on par with me after his second year of the academy, Minato explained, causing the civilian both internally sigh in relief and cringe in fear, as most realized they were actively helping the demon get stronger. Amuro leaned forward. This isn't the point of this meeting, but I see the real point, and it's null and void anyway. None of us on the Shinobi Council will deny who you are, Minato, Kushina, simply too much evidence on hand to say otherwise. My question is, what happens now? Will you retake the mantle of Hokage, Minato? Not so sure I want to, the blonde former Hokage states. I entrusted my son to the village to be raised with love and affection. All he got was mental abuse and scorn on good days, with assaults and assassination attempts on bad days. I'll need a lot of convincing. The civilian council glanced at each other, looking desperate, mostly because they knew that for their beloved fourth to retake his position, it would involve the demon in some way. Mibuki, however, snorted in disgust at her fellow council members. She harbored nothing but sadness at her inability to protect Naruto. She had even been disappointed with her daughter's actions against the orange-haired boy. What would you like, Minato-sama? She asked aloud, getting glares from her fellow council members. Public apologies would be nice for a start, then we work on restitution for my son, and finally the civilian council removes 2 more people from this governing body. I don't how there are 12 civilians and 10 shinobi council members, there should only be the clan heads with the 2 advisors for the shinobi side, and 10 civilians, 8 representing the civilians branches, 3 for trade, 3 for commerce, and 3 for health and well-being. But Danzo, a civilian advisor, where did the other 2 come from? Minato asked. We represent the voice of the daimyo, the fat female representative haughtily. In other words, these are false titles brought in by Danzo to try and undermine the Hokage by forcing to compromise too much, no doubt to protect Naruto. Minato sighed heavily, crossing his arms, glancing at Kushina, who was glaring at Danzo. I will take back the mantle of Hokage. What if we don't want you back? Asked one of the more quieter council members. Makoto frowned, noting his voice was off. She activated her Sharingan and looked around the room. Hiashi, can you activate your Byakugan? I can see chakra distortions in the room, but can't pinpoint them. What are you doing? We made a rules about this, the fat woman stated, glaring at the Uchiha. Who are you anyway? Makoto Uchiha, the female Uchiha, smirked at the shock in civilian faces. No, I did not die with my stupid power-hungry clan, that was a blood clone. Hiashi, your Byakugan please. The faint nod. He activated his own Keki Genkai, and what he saw shocked him. Danzo, he growled, glaring at the man, what have you done? Before the old man could react, several chakra chains encircled him, preventing him from moving. The man grunted, glaring at the source. So it's true you have one of the Sage of the Six Paths gifts, Kushina. The Uzumaki, the Senju, and the Uchiha are all distantly related to him, Danzo, so it shouldn't surprise you. Now what do you see, Hiashi? Kushina asked. Sharingan implanted all up and down his left arm and one in his left eye, the Hyuga clan head stated in anger and disgust. Makoto's own eyes narrowing in rage as they morphed into her Manjikyu Sharingan, surprising everyone. How dare you? I may despise my clan's arrogance and elitist attitude, but to have my son murder them to stop a coup d'etat, and for you to swoop in and take what is not yours. A second later, a flash of pitch black flames ignited Danzo, who screamed. Dee. This caused everyone near the old warhawk to jump back in fright. Kushina dropped her chains, then ran over, pulling out a seal tag. The moment it came in contact with the flames and burning corpse, they vanished. HMPH didn't tell us you had that, Maiko-chan, Kushina pouted. Makoto winced as blood leaked from the corner of her right eye. She closed it, taking out a rag. It was activated when Lord Third told me of your death, Kushi-chan. The grief of losing my 2 best friends was too much for me. Sarutobi sighed heavily, putting his hands under his chin, closing his eyes, thinking once his thoughts began to sort. However, he smirked. With both councils possibly being compromised, I motion that it should be disbanded until evaluations are done on the mental competency of said council. This will be my last act as Hokage. And as my first act as returning Hokage, I'm putting the motion forward immediately. You will all report to Ibiki in the morning. Minato smirks at Inoichi, who groans. Yes, even you, Yamanaka, your old boss is perfectly suited for this. Only few civilians complained this time, mostly because they all felt utterly confused, even Mibuki, who wondered if her own thoughts had been invaded. She stood up and walked over to Kushina. I apologize to you, Kushina-sama, I tried to curb my daughter's abuses on your son. Kushina simply giggled and waved it off. Please, if I had a chance to raise Naruto, he would have gotten a lot more lumps on his head for being a baka than the ones your daughter gave him. If anything, I'm going to be thanking her, she kept him in line. According to Vegeta-sama, she reminded him of his own wife and knows she'll be good for him. Ibuki smiled faintly. I'm glad there is no animosity towards my daughter Kushina-sama. Kushina put an arm around the blonde woman, smirking. Meh, water under the bridge, Mibuki-chan, databane. Besides, if my son has his way, we'll be in-laws by the time he turns 16. Ibuki nodded and sighed. Rather it be your son than Mikoto-sama's, he strikes me as unstable. Baka, Kushina muttered, thinking of her godson. Patting the blonde woman's shoulder, she walked over to Mikoto, ushering the Uchiha matriarch out of the council chambers. Minato-kun, see you at home. I'm going to take Maiko-chan out to get her drunk. I better see you in your boxers when we get home. Mikoto blinked. What are you doing, Kushina? You need a drink to get your mind of what you just did, and you need a threesome to unwind, and I'm more than willing to share, databane. Kushina giggled, watching Mikoto's nose explode in a fountain of blood. Still perving on my husband, Maiko-chan. Kushina? Minato asked, looking uncertain. What is this all about? The redhead rubbed the back of her head, much like what her son did. There's too much drama, Minato-kun, plus with how things have been since we got revived. I want to help my best female friend find some comfort, databane. But a threesome? Mikoto asked, blushing. We're not part of Jiraiya-sensei's pervy books, Kushi-chan. Meh, details. I want hot steamy sex with my husband and best friend. Besides, we're still kind of the last of our lines, Maiko-chan. Itachi is off doing whatever. I doubt he's sowing his wild oats, and as far as I know, Sasuke is either going to get himself killed or is gay, so no help for you on that front. We're both still young and I love to give my son a baby brother or sister, she leaned, biting Mikoto's ear gently while whispering. And I bet you still have that fantasy about me and Minato-kun, don't you, databane? Minato sighed, shaking his head. He knew he couldn't argue with his wife, regardless of how sudden this all was. When did this start? He muttered to himself. 3 words, Minato-kun, Clan Restoration Act, Kushina stated with a shrug. Naruto-kun falls under it, Maiko-chan falls under it, I fall under it. After a few seconds, Minato nodded. I thought you and Mikoto already fulfilled that, both of you have male heirs. True, but in Maiko-chan's case her heirs aren't viable, one is borderline unstable, and the other is listed as a rogue nin. Well, I have an heir to the Uzumaki clan. I want to give you one for your clan, Minato-kun, the redhead sighed heavily. That and I can't raise Naruto anymore, he grew up without us. I love him with all my heart, but he doesn't really need us. I feel like we're just in the way. I'm sure he doesn't think that, Mikoto stated. He'll probably even think us invading his life will at first feel like a luxury to him, caring about his every little moment, like leaving the house, cooking for him, making sure he dresses right, asking him to be safe on missions, Minato explained. Alright, I get it, and that is only one motivation for the craw, the other is I want my best friend to be happy. Fugaku was a grade A asshole, and wherever he is I'm hoping some demon spawn is raping him right now. So what I'm saying is, Kushina paused, looping an arm around Mikoto, looking up at her husband. I want Maiko-chan to be my sister wife, Minato-kun. Minato knew he wouldn't win this argument. Matter of fact, the only argument he did win backfired on him. He turned to his longtime teammate on Team Jiraiya. He had to admit, in terms of beauty, Mikoto was on par with Kushina. He had always thought so, just Kushina had always been number one in his mind. Still, with Mikoto no longer burdened by the Uchiha elders, it was solely up to her now. This is something you'll have to decide, Mikoto. I can't win an argument with Kushina to save my life, and the one I did win made things worse. The redhead was torn between smirking and looking depressed, which made her expressions, the Uchiha matriarch thought, kind of funny. Allow me to wait and make a decision until after I talk with Sasuke again. I want to clear the air between us if he'll let me. Take as much time as you need, Minato smiled before a tick mark appeared above his right eye. How long have you been there, Jiraiya-sensei? The two women turned to see the perverted toad sage crouched on the windowsill, scribbling away in his research book. Judging by the amount of notes he's taking and the trickle of blood on his lip, I'd say since I made the threesome comment, Kushina sighed, shaking her head, then began cracking her knuckles in preparation to dish out punishment. It's been a long time, pervy sage, let's see if I can remember the art of putting you in traction, databane. Mikoto followed her, Sharingan spinning wildly. Yes, it has been a while, hasn't it, pervy sensei? Time to scream like a girl, she smiled overly sweetly. Crap, the toad sage muttered, stuffing his research book into his jacket before leaping from the window. Come back here and take your licks like a man. Kushina growled, leaping from the window, Mikoto following her. Minato sighed, glad someone hasn't changed much, as several Anbu in the council room chuckled. XXN flashback. Mikoto walked quietly into the room she designated herself to and felt 2 gentle hands on her shoulders. Looking up, Kushina gave her a sad smile, gently pulling her into an embrace. The Uchiha matriarch promptly let all her built-up angst and frustration pour out into deep racking sobs, burying her head into her best friend's shoulder. Too far gone? Kushina whispered, getting a faint nod. I'm sorry Maiko-chan, I had hoped he'd be like Sachi. Makoto took a few seconds to gather her breath, wiping her eyes angrily. He's too much like his father, I even suspect he'll ignore my warning. First moment he gets he'll go looking for Orochimaru, she replied sadly. Would he be different if I actually raised him? I don't know, like I said before, I'm not the best person to ask about raising kids. Maiko-chan, my one shot at it to date and I died on him. Your chance to raise him was shot down by circumstance, but look at how well Itachi turned out, for the most part being raised by you for 7 years. Granted, he's been branded a traitor for doing something for the good of the village, but still he turned out pretty well outside that, Kushina explained. I take it Minato-kun can't officially remove Itachi's missing nin status, the Uchiha woman asked. No, he's spying on this Akatsuki group, and if they found out might put him in danger. However, the hunter nins have been called off except for 2, and they've been told only to appear like they are hunting him to alleviate suspicion. You know, one of Pervy Sage's backup plans, the redhead explained. Makoto walked over and sat gingerly. Emotionally she knew she was a mess, her son disowning her. Must be nice to have a son that loves you even after all the shit that's come to light. Remarkable is more like it, Kushina said, sitting next to her friend, putting arm around her again. I was being serious Maiko-chan earlier. I want you two with me and Minato-kun. Would it be so bad to get Naruto's approval first? I already lost my son in all intents and purposes. I really don't want to alienate my godson too, the dark-haired woman stated. Yeah, be a good idea, hopefully I won't be as awkward this time, Kushina giggled slightly. Of course, if he's making out with that pink-haired girl we might have to wait. Chapter 4. Kushina and Makoto were wandering toward the barrack area where the Chunin examinees would rest until the end of the second round. They both heard soft conversation coming from one of the rooms and stopped. XXX flashback. An hour earlier, Sakura stood at the entrance to the medical wing dormitories, about to go in to see if her crush was alright. Opening the door, her heart froze in fear, the look of unbridled hatred coming from Sasuke made her step back. What do you want? The Uchiha male asked in laced venom. I just wanted to see if you were okay, Sasuke-kun, the rosette-haired girl replied nervously, suddenly feeling like this was a bad idea. Okay, Sasuke drawled out. I am anything but okay. I find out I have not one but 2 traitors to my clan. That bitch Makoto and my brother, the power I was given robbed from me by the dobe's fucking mother. Sasuke stood up, stalking toward the girl, Sharingan active and spinning wildly. Now I have a fucking little whore like you asking stupid questions. I'll show you how okay I am. Before Sakura could react, Sasuke lunged at her and wrapped his hands around her throat. I should have done this before. This village no longer deserves the Uchiha's bloodline, he growled and squeezing. Sakura tried to pry his hands away from her throat, but his anger and increasing insanity made him far too strong. Naruto, help. As tears began to flow from her eyes, Sakura felt both betrayal and heartbreak that her longtime crush was actively trying to kill her. A second later, Sasuke's hands became limp and he slumped backward, feeling weak. The rosette-haired girl was about to fall forward onto the bastard, only for 2 warm arms catch her and embrace her. Not going to say it, but I think you got the gist of it. He tried to kill me. Sakura sobbed out, turning around and burying her face into Naruto's shoulder. Naruto glared down at the unconscious Uchiha. He couldn't do anything about him until after the exams, as much as he would like to. One, there were no witnesses, and regardless of the fact his father was now the Hokage again, he doubted he could justify killing the asshole for trying to kill his mate yet. He gently rubbed Sakura's back, trying to soothe her before picking her up bridal style to carry her away. Like I said, he doesn't deserve you, Sakura-chan whispered in her ear, kissing her forehead. I always wanted to do that, he chuckled faintly, feeling her tense slightly. You okay? Sakura's emotional distress seemed to magnify with Naruto's last statement, the image of a kind-looking Sasuke stating her wildest dreams and then overlaying them with a possible hinged Naruto. Remnants of her broken heart shattered completely at the realization that Sasuke had never said those words, that it had been Naruto in a henge all this time. Her sobs increased in tempo, her image of the Uchiha permanently destroyed. Before she could wallow in any more grief and sadness, she felt Naruto sit down on a bed in one of the barracks, gently reach up, caressing her cheek. Opening her eyes, seeing the unconditional love in the orange-haired Saiyan's eyes, the sobbing had subsided into sniffles as he held her gaze. And Naruto. I said it in the forest, you are my Sakura, I will not let anyone hurt you physically, and I will always be here to punish those who do hurt you, that is my promise of a lifetime, the orange-haired Saiyan stated, leaning in and capturing her lips in a kiss. After a long bout of tender kisses, he could sense through her energy that her melancholy was lifting ever so slightly. How can you care so much about me after all the stuff I did to you in the academy, all the violent turn-downs? I treated you worse than Sasuke treated me, and you still want me, why? Sakura asked. Naruto smirked, cause you're feisty, you're not submissive. Being submissive, while nice, can be on occasions enabling. I am the prince of the village, and I need someone who can smack me down when I'm being a baka. Let's face it, Sakura-chan, there are going to be times when I can be a real baka. Sakura giggled, sliding her arms around his neck. I suppose that's true, but what about Hinata? You have to know she has had a crush on you since she was 5, she stated, looking worried. I know that now, Naruto sighed, looking a bit guilty, though before I didn't. I always thought she had some sort of chronic fainting disease or something. I didn't realize I was the cause. What are you going to do about it? Sakura asked, again worried. The orange-haired Saiyan let a slow sigh. How much do you know about the Uzumaki clan or the Namikaze clan? The first Hokage married a woman named Mito Uzumaki, didn't he? But that's it, the Rosette replied. I gave birth to a son whose wife had Tsunade and Nawaki, making both my cousins, Naruto explained. Now let me explain to you what happened in the forest after Orochimaru hit me with the 5-pronged seal. And he did, including his life before they became teammates. By the end of it, Sakura was in tears, both in joy and sadness, joy at Naruto having his parents back, secretly thanking Vegeta for his surprising kindness, and her tears of sadness at how Naruto's life had been for 13 years, her own abuse contributing to his misery. Naruto wiped her tears away with his thumbs. With all this being said, I probably fall under the cross. Sure, my mom will probably want to give me a brother or sister, but that would only 2 Uzumaki and Namikaze heirs, need at least 4 or more to make a viable restoration of a clan, I think. Sakura shook her head. It's no less than 6, no more than 8. I remember the chapter on it in the academy. The last clan that needed it was Shino's clan. His great-grandfather had 3 wives if I recall, same with his great-granduncle. They struggled at first, mostly because of the Kikai insects, she shuddered. Girls don't like bugs as a general rule unless they were raised around them. Naruto felt the Rosette shift slightly, sliding off his lap, moving to simply sit next to him. Do you want to try being a couple, maybe bring Hinata in? Looking up into his eyes before nodding silently, her feeling a lot of the emotional weight had lifted from her shoulders. How would you approach her? She's the heiress of her clan, Sakura-chan. She's probably known about the cross since she was 4. Well, I don't want to exploit her submissive nature, it may come into play, Naruto sighed. Then there is her confidence issues that needs to be addressed, and I know most of it stems from her clan's elders. Sakura nods, she should be in the tower by now. Naruto stood up, extending his hand, which Sakura took, and they set off to find Hinata and her team. Didn't take long, they found them 2 rooms over talking to their sensei. Yo, Naruto up his hand in greeting. Then Naruto-kun, Hinata blushed. Kurenai turned along with Kiba and Shino. Hey Kurenai-sensei, can Sakura-chan and I borrow Hinata-chan for a moment? The orange-haired Saiyan asked. Hinata blushed, images appearing in her mind. Yes, please borrow me, Naruto-kun. Kurenai smiled faintly, nodding as Naruto walked up, taking the girl by the hand and leading her out, her face scarlet. Sakura just shook her head, following the two. What was that all about? Kiba asked, then glanced down, hearing Akamaru whimper. What's with you? XXN flashback. Kushina giggled, hearing her Sachi talking apparently to the Hyuga heiress. She glanced inside, and what she saw caused her to raise an eyebrow. What? Came Mikoto's question. Sachi may be ahead of the curve, Miko-chan, the redhead gestured to the cracked door. Mikoto peeked in and saw Naruto talking to the Hyuga heiress, while Councilwoman Haruno's daughter, who was sitting next to the heiress, whose face was getting redder with each passing moment before she passed out. Naruto sighed, looking at the fainted Hinata. She took it pretty well, don't ya think, he chuckled. Having first apologized to her for not realizing she liked him, she then stuttered out that it was okay. He then explained to her what he explained to Sakura about what happened in the forest and what will likely happen once the second exam was done. Finally, he brought up the Clan Restoration Act and asked her if she wanted to join Sakura in trying to be a couple. That is when she promptly fainted. Sakura shook her head ruefully, just about how she takes everything regarding you. I can't believe I didn't see it before, Naruto sighed, rubbing his head before shifting. Not nice to spy on me, Kasen, he smirked. He, Kushina and Mikoto walked into the room, one looking unrepentant with a huge smirk on her face, while the other held a healthy blush at being caught. So a step ahead of the game, Sachi. More or less, he glanced at Sakura, whose eyes and mouth were wide in shock. Sakura. Sakura shook her head, pointing at Kushina. That's your Kasen. Yep, that's me, Kushina chirped, rubbing the back of her head. You're Sakura, huh? The woman stepped up close and leaned forward, examining her potential daughter-in-law, the very one her son had such praise for, hearing the scary similar background they shared. A little out of shape, but nothing some good hard training can't overcome for the both of them, she stated, seeing Hinata waking up. I'm sure they'll make excellent additions to the clan, Naruto-kun. The orange-haired Saiyan smiled. How are you, Mikoto Abasan? Mikoto teared up. I haven't been a very good godmother, Naruto-kun, and I was a terrible mother to Sasuke and Itachi. I abandoned them because of their father, instead of bringing them with me like I should have. I left a blood clone to raise them. You what's a blood clone? Hinata asked. It is a clone created using chakra and a pint of person's blood. The blood sustains the chakra, preventing it from dissipating, and it lasts 2 days after it dies. It has the same overall properties as the shadow clone in that it retains information after it dies, Kushina explained. It also is one of Mikoto's personally created jutsus. That's awesome, Mikoto Abasan, can you teach me that? Naruto asked, looking eager. The Uchiha woman smiled faintly. I might, there is one thing I need to ask you if Kushi-chan doesn't interrupt. Kushina pouted but nodded. Would you object if I entered into a relationship with your father? Naruto crossed his arms in mock thought before snorting, I'd be a hypocrite if I did, Mikoto Abasan. I just asked both Sakura-chan and Hinata-chan if they wanted to be in a relationship with me. He smirked hearing Hinata eat, glancing at said girl whose face was bright red. Kushina giggled, now I know why I recognized her, she's Hitomi's daughter, right? Snapping her fingers, looking at Mikoto. Yes, Hitomi and Hiashi had Hinata shortly after you died, Mikoto explained. The redhead giggled, she was so much fun growing up, Dadabane. Sighing, Mikoto turned to Hinata, who looked confused. Kushina loved to tease your mother to the point of her passing out from blood loss from it, either rushing to her face or coming out of her nose after one of Kushi-chan lewd comments. It broke her out of her shyness, Kushina stated with a pout. Poor girl needed it. Could you imagine her wedding night with Hiashi if she kept fainting? Talk about total disaster, Dadabane. Hinata eeped again, then perverted Hinata appeared. Ride Naruto-kun while watching Sakura-chan squirm on his face, and yes. Or better yet, kiss Sakura-chan while she's underneath us, Naruto takes us both. Hinata's nose was bleeding, causing Kushina to raise an eyebrow, shaking her head. The Hyuga heiress blushed again, pushing her index fingers together. Thank you, Kushina-sama, for accepting me. Kushina smiled sadly, I had nothing to do with it, this is all Naruto. I wasn't able to raise him like I dreamed of, I died on him. As much as he has forgiven me and his father, I still feel like I failed him. The orange-haired Saiyan put his arms around his mother. Never, you weren't separated from me by choice, you were stolen from me by whoever that masked Uchiha was. And whoever he was, I'm going to slaughter him if I ever see him, Dadabeo. The other 3 females all smiled at this exchange. My Sachi is awesome, Kushina smiled, giving the other girls a thumbs up. XXX Capsule Corporation, age 779. Bulma was currently fitting the screen to her new device, wiping her brow. Vegeta, do you have a minute? I have something to show you. What is it? I'm training. Came the irritated question. Just come up to my workshop, you baka. Bulma growled. The Prince of Saiyans often wondered why he fell in love with the infuriating woman. He could only begin to guess. Walking from his gravity trainer to the workshop had him past the main living area where his son was busy with his recent fling of the month, snorting in disgust. As much as I find Kakarot's eldest Gaki to be a wimp, at least he settled on a mate. Trunks is more his mother than he is me, what a waste. He snarled, opening the door to the workshop, watching his wife tinker with some communication device. What is it? Bulma turned, cleaning up a smudge on her cheek. I finally figured it out, I made an interdimensional communicator. Looking confused, Vegeta crossed his arms. Explain in a language I can understand. Bulma grunted, fine. Basically, with this thing we can give this to the boy you gave your powers to and keep tabs on him, you baka. All we need is Goku to use his instant transmission and go there to give it to the boy. Why didn't you say so? Vegeta growled. I just did. The blue-haired woman snapped back. Arg. Vegeta stepped up and looked at the device, smirking slightly. He loved it when Bulma got angry, it made her really sexy and turned him on. Interesting. He walked over and locked the door before turning back to his wife. I'll go look for Kakarot tomorrow. Why not today? Bulma asked. I have something else in mind. Vegeta walked up to her. Bulma had seen that look before on her birthday after the fight with Beerus. Oh, is my prince in the mood? She gave him a saucy smile. You need to ask, the prince stated, causing the woman to giggle. Chapter 5. 3 Hidden Rain. Genin, the Rookie 9, Team Guy, the Sand Siblings, and Kabuto's team stood in the center of a large arena, staring up at 3 shinobi many have never seen before. The first, standing to the right, caused Sasuke to glare heatedly at, was a fairly beautiful woman with shoulder-length black hair, dressed in Jonin attire, only instead of wearing just the Uchiha as she did before on the back of her flak jacket, it was replaced with a new elaborate insignia, the Uzumaki swirl, with 4 lightning bolts striking inward toward the Uchiha fan. The bolts representing the Namikaze clan, signifying her recent addition into the Uzumaki and Namikaze clans, while still holding true to her Uchiha blood. On the left was a woman with unparalleled beauty, dressed in a red skin-tight kunoichi stocking, shoulder harness, and wielding 2 Kodachi, the Uzumaki and Namikaze mixed insignias on her back and shoulders. She got a welcome smile from her son and his 2 girlfriends. The one in the middle, however, gave a certain disguised Sannin pause in fear. He wore a Jonin outfit with a long white sleeveless cloak with red flames on the bottom and the word "fourth" written along the back. Who the heck is that? Came Kiba question. Where's the third Hokage? He re-entered retirement. A lot of things have happened in the last 5 days that you probably haven't been made aware of. I guess it is considered a miracle to some and a curse from the heavens to others. My name is Minato Namikaze. 13 years ago I died sealing the nine-tailed Biju into my son, most of you even know him. Minato paused, chuckling. Hell, I've been told he looks a lot like me, just has his mother's chin and cute little nose. Baka Tausen. Naruto growled, thrusting his fist out at his father. Everyone turned to the whiskered mark orange-haired Saiyan, the rookie 9, and Team Guy minus Sakura, Sasuke, and Hinata looked on in shock. Wait, how are you alive and is Naruto really your son? Ino asked nervously, having been told on numerous occasions by her parents in the past not to pick on Naruto, but ignored them because everyone else was doing it. To answer your first question, Ms. Yamanaka, I'm afraid that is classified. To answer the second, yes, Naruto is indeed my son, Minato explained. As for the 9 tails, due to circumstances I didn't even know had occurred, I inadvertently sealed someone in with a fox, and this person for all intents and purposes obliterated the 9 tails. That can't be possible. To kill a Biju you'd have practically destroy the planet. No one on this earth has that power, Baki stated. The person I sealed into Naruto wasn't from this earth, he was pulled into our world through some sort of time-space jutsu, Minato stated with a sigh, not sure why he would reveal such things, but he felt Naruto's friends needed to know he wasn't a threat to them. The fox is dead and has been for 13 years. What of the person that killed the fox? Is he still sealed inside Naruto? Shino asked. The very perceptive person you are, Shino. No, the man died and was resurrected in the same way my wife and I were. Minato smirked internally, purposely leaving out the fact that his son got all the Biju slaying power when the man died. Minato-kun, let's get on with the closing speech. Thinji, Kushina pouted. The blonde Hokage sighed, shaking his head, not time yet Kushi-chan. I count 21 bodies, that needs to go down unless there are people willing to drop out. Kabuto was the sole person to do so, leaving 20 left. Okay, hey, looks like you're up. Off, understood Hokage-sama. A man walked up looking a little worse for wear, bags under his eyes and a pale waxy complexion. To thin the numbers we will be having a preliminary one-on-one tournament, hopefully to get the number down to 10 or less. Orochimaru stood in the shadows seething as Kabuto appeared. Our plans will need to change, there is no way the invasion will succeed, Suna will likely pull out now out of fear. Yes, the 4th Hokage being resurrected in some way, and within the last 5 days, I don't understand how that is possible. Kabuto stated, looking confused. The Snake Sannin frowned, going through the events in the last week that could have caused such a drastic change in events. He then remembered during his little meeting with Anko, he felt something akin to compressed killer intent, centered around where he left Sasuke and his teammates, with the recent revelation that the fox had been killed and the only thing sealed in the Jinchuriki was an unknown male with the power to kill a Biju, left him with only one theory. When he slapped the 5-prong seal on the Namikaze Gaki, he started the chain of events or hastened them. Unless it's a ploy of Sarutobi-sensei's in some way. Do I take the chance? The Sannin thought a moment. We alter it slightly and form our forces to proceed with caution, and I want Taiya to stay behind. Little did Orochimaru know that Karen Uzumaki and Kintsuchi were currently spilling what they knew about Orochimaru's operation and invasion plans without even being coaxed, both having concern for their shared friend, one having been rescued from a beating and possible rape, and the other finding out she had family in Konoha. Shino watched as his opponent dropped, looking like he was wasting away. Your Jinjutsu failed. Why? Because my Kikai insects detected the illusion and negated them while you stood back confidently. They snuck in behind you and began eating away your chakra. In the future you will learn not to assume anything. Winner of the match, Shino Aburam, Hayate stated as Medic Nin appeared to help the aim Genin, as said Genin passed out. Naruto looked on, bored out of his mind. Everything seemed to move almost in slow motion for him. During each match he could easily find 60 different holes in each person's fighting style. Sasuke's, he could see he left his back far too open. Tenten was entirely to weapon-based. Any decent long-range jutsu could cripple her, and did, as Tamari systematically destroyed her. With her wind-based jutsu, Shikamaru was probably the only one he couldn't really get a read on, but that was because the lazy genius ended the match quickly. The puppet user relied way too much on his dolls and probably sucked royally with Taijutsu. Sakura, as much as he loved her, the academy Taijutsu just didn't suit her, it made her look awkward, she needed something a little more up close and personal. He had been teaching her how to bring out her Kai, but barely 3 days of instruction was not enough, so she and Ino ended up in a draw for their match, but mostly it was Sakura apologizing to Ino for ruining their friendship over someone not worth their time. Alright, look at that Akamaru, we got a breeze fight, Kiba stated, ignoring his companion whimpering. Naruto glanced at the sign and smirked, jumping up to the railing, then jumping down. He walked into the center of the room next to the proctor, crossing his arms waiting for Kiba, who was having trouble with Akamaru. What's wrong with you? This'll be easy, I don't care if he's the son of the 4th Hokage. He's still a dope. Naruto snorted, glancing up at Kiba. Maybe you should leave your master alone, Kiba, it's obvious he doesn't want to fight. Kiba growled, jumping down. Oh, that is it, I'm going to wipe the floor with you, dope. Doubtful, looking up at the Akamaru. Naruto smirked again. You should have your pet trained more, Akamaru, he's getting quite rabid, maybe someone should knock him down a few pegs. Well, since I'm here I'll volunteer, but know this, Kiba, you'll never lay a hand on me. Kiba scoffed, fine then I guess I'll use my feet. The wild-looking teen dropped into his family's taijutsu stance, while Naruto hadn't moved an inch, arms still crossed over his chest, watching Kiba with a bored expression. GGGRRRR. Kiba charged forward. Fang over fang. His body moving in a horizontal tornado toward Naruto. Everyone gasped as Kiba seemed to go right through the orange-haired Saiyan. When the wild-looking boy skid to a halt, he looking worried, afraid he accidentally killed Naruto, only to turn and see Naruto hadn't moved and completely unscathed. WW, what I hit you. Strike 1, Kiba. I'll give you 2 more chances to hit me and then you're out, the whisker-marked Saiyan stated. Growling in anger, he performed another fang over fang, skidding to a halt, and turning around he saw again that Naruto was not only unharmed, but he actually yawned. Is that it? I must say, Kiba, this is beginning to bore me. The Inyazuka heir was beside himself with rage and a small amount of fear. He hit Naruto his best jutsu twice, and nothing happened. Running forward this time, Kiba launched into a series of strikes and kicks, none of which connected. How is this possible? Kiba gasped, taking 2 steps back. Naruto shrugged, simple, you're too weak to challenge me, and that was strike 3 by the way, reaching up with his index finger and appeared to lightly tap Kiba on the forehead. The tap sent Kiba flying into the far wall. After he slumped to the ground, Hate ran over to checking him. He's alright, I held back a lot, most he'll have will be a few cracked ribs and maybe a concussion. Naruto quietly jumped back up to the railing, landing next to Kurenai and her students. Sorry, Kiba kind of set me off. It's okay, and Naruto-kun, Hinata replied, giving him a shy smile, while Shino simply grunted, adjusting his sunglasses. With a slight shake of his head, Naruto stepped closer to Hinata, who blushed lightly. You got such a pretty voice, Hinata-chan, need to work on not stuttering. He smiled softly, causing the girl to turn redder if that was possible. Before she could say anything, Naruto brought her in and gave her a gentle kiss. Then Naruto-kun kissed me, he kissed me, Hinata swooned before falling forward into Naruto's arms. Sakura sighed, really need to break her of that. Yep, wedding night will get really boring if she keeps passing out after every kiss, Naruto chuckles. Sakura snorts, what about each article of clothing she'll have to remove? Hinata woke up long enough to hear them say that before she fell backward with from a nosebleed. Oh, Naruto-kun, she whispered. Hinata-chan, Naruto shook his head, a smile still on his face, then turned to Sakura, might have to help her in the clothing removal department, Sakura-chan. Rolling her eyes, Sakura gently fanned the Hyuga heiress. Oh no, she whispered, dread in her voice. Hinata slowly woke to see her name and the last person she wanted to face. Niji Nison, Hinata whispered nervously. Watching the glare Hinata was getting from her cousin, Naruto stepped forward, gently putting his hands on her shoulders, kissing her forehead. Win or lose, Hinata-chan, prove to him that you are not weak. The Hyuga heiress nodded, her face set with determination. She walked down the stairs, walking up and standing across from her cousin. You are fated to lose here, Hinata, Niji sneered. Niji Nison, shut up, Hinata stated in a surprisingly cool tone, sliding into her gentle fist stance. Niji scowled, sliding into his stance. Fine, it seems you'll need to be re-educated in learning your place, Hinata. One simple gesture would be all I need to end the fight, Niji Nison, you know that, but you also know I'll never use it, cannot bear to cause you or any other branch member pain. As one of Naruto-kun's betrotheds, I can ask the Uzumaki clan to find a way to negate the pain-inducing aspects of the cage bird seal and have every member of the clan use it as it was intended to be used, Hinata explained as both she and Niji went into a series of strikes and near misses. You are deluded, the main branch will never accept it, Niji replied. Watching the fight from a distance, Naruto had to admire the forms, however he noted Hinata had trouble with it, the rigid form seemed to hamper her natural flexibility. With a sigh, she's losing, her form is just too choppy, she overextends her arms when she needs to spin and kick, a frown formed. And what makes you an expert on taijutsu forms, dope, Sasuke scoffed. Funny you should taunt, wuss, Naruto stated, causing the male Uchiha to growl. That guy who killed the Biju, he gave me all his skills and experiences before he died and was revived, that included all his knowledge in various combat styles. So shut up, I wasn't talking to you, team, I was talking to Kakashi-sensei and Sakura-chan. Sasuke seethed to himself, clenching and unclenching his hands. How strong did the dope become, and where can I get that strength? XXX on residence age 779. Vegeta landed outside Goku home. Looking around, he noted that it was far bigger than it had been before Videl had entered Gohan's life. With her married into the family, the Sun homestead had expanded to include a bigger main house, an apartment for Goten, and a small library and office for Gohan to do whatever research that intrigued him. He came to the entrance to the main house and heard Kakarot's woman growling. Looking through the door he saw the woman cleaning like she was in a war. Entering the house he watched her and noticed how tense she was. "What is wrong with you?" he asked aloud. Kai spun around clutching her duster holding it like a sword. She blinked a moment before she sighed, "Just cleaning." "Sounded more like you were trying to kill your floor," Vegeta snorted. "I'm looking for Kakarot." "Out, past the radish field, he's training Goten again," Kai stated mournfully walking over and sitting at her dining table. "Uptight, moody, and I heard longing. I wonder how long it has been since Kakarot mated with her." Vegeta left the house lifting off lazily floating over the radish field, having a fond memory of it, drawing radishes to determine who would fight to freeze as leftovers. Beyond was a large canyon where he spotted two dots below sparring and wrecking the surrounding the area. Landing just as Goku finished a combo sending Goten flying. "Kakarot." Goku fell out of his stance. "Oh hey Vegeta, what's up? I've come to ask you to use your instant transmission to get me to that shinobi world I died in," Vegeta stated. I need to see it first before I can go there," Goku explained. "Blasted," Vegeta softly growled, a part of him the more caring part that Bulma helped cultivate and meeting the orange-haired boy helped solidify, though he would go to his grave to deny wanting to protect said boy. Granted the boy probably didn't need any protection in his world, as the strongest being he could sense from inside the boy match, that of Zarbon in his transformed state, which was someone Naruto could easily handle. Still the Saiyan prince felt he needed to protect one of his subjects. Thinking quickly through his options, maybe talking to one of the Kais. Which of the four Kais runs that realm? Kakarot. If it's alternate universe I suppose we'd have to talk the Supreme Kai of Space. She's the sister of the Supreme Kai of Time and not nearly as cheerful, Goku explained while he was portrayed as a dimwit most of the time. Goku had a fairly decent education during his time in Otherworld on the ways and means of what the Kais protected and just how many there were. He was even offered the job of Supreme Kai from Kibito Kai, seeing as how Goku was already doing that job protecting his realm. Goku wanted to wait until he died of natural causes before he take the job, that way he know Kai would be with him in Otherworld, which was his other stipulation. Kibito Kai agreed to it. Couldn't we use the Dragon Balls?" The Saiyan prince smacked himself in the head grunting at the pain. "Bulma has them at the house, another one of her bingo tournaments she holding for Trunks' birthday this year." "Oh yeah, just hope the god of destruction is still sleeping this time. I'm still not strong enough to beat him," Goku pouted slightly. "Only you would train for a rematch against a god," Vegeta snorted. "Aside from that, your woman looks tense." Kakarot, as both he and Goku took to the air unseen signal from them, both to begin flying toward Capsule Core. Goku waved to Goten, who waved back lifting off to head back home. "When was the last you mated with her?" Goku blushed slightly then started to think, he paused in his thoughts. "If you're thinking about it, then you clearly don't mate enough with her, no wonder she's uptight." Vegeta rolled his eyes. How many times with Bulma?" Goku asked. "At least twice a week or more depending on her mood," the Saiyan prince explained. "And she's always in the mood. It wouldn't surprise me if your woman is taking to using her laundry chores to satisfy herself." Goku looked a little chagrined. He had been so focused on training to fight the next big threat that would appear he'd been neglecting his husbandly duties. The fact that Vegeta had pointed it out made him feel worse. "Right, when we finish making sure this Naruto is good I'll go home and make up for lost time." Vegeta grinned slyly. "You're welcome Kakarot." Rubbing the back of his head the naive hero chuckled weakly. "So what are you going to use your second wish for?" "I don't know." Vegeta hadn't really thought about it, he had hoped that wouldn't have needed the Dragon Balls. "Maybe wish for Bulma, Videl, and Kai to become Saiyans or something," the naive hero stated casually scratching his chin in thought. The Saiyan prince came to an abrupt halt floating in the air, eyes the size of saucers before he groaned slumping his shoulders. "Now I feel like a real baka, the amount of times we wished using the Dragon Balls and that has never occurred to me, only for this naive man-child to figure it out is infuriating." Not dignifying an answer, Vegeta launched forward, Goku quietly following with a completely clueless expression on his face. Bulma placed the Dragon Balls in the center of her backyard and stood back. "Well Vegeta, they're all yours." The Saiyan prince stepped forward looking down at the 7 balls that at one time he wanted to make the wish for immortality with. Now some 15 years later he was presented with them free to make any wish he chose, and the thought of immortality was in the back of his mind. What good is immortality without Bulma? If I gave her the same she'd grow into despair after losing her friends and our son to the ravages of age. I have found something much more long-lasting than merely being able to live forever. I'm satisfied with how things turned out. Come forth Shenron and grant my 2 wishes. The sky darkened and lightning danced across the sky before a massive form shot from the 7 balls, taking the shape of a coiled dragon who stared down. "What wishes may I grant so I can leave?" 2 years ago Purunga revived 2 souls and sent them back to their realm. I would like Kakarot and I to go to this realm, is this possible? Vegeta asked. It can be done, what is your second wish? The massive dragon asked. That all Saiyans with mates be turned into Saiyans if that is possible. Vegeta questioned. The ones known as Bulma, Kai Kai, Videl, Sakura and Hinata can be turned into Saiyans as they are genetically similar to the Saiyan race. The one known as Guru Kanata's her genetic makeup is different from that of the Saiyans. The dragon eyes glowed. Bulma looked on in confusion for a second. She screamed as her physiological structure started to rewrite. Before Vegeta could go to his wife's aid, both he and Goku vanished. It is done. Farewell. Chapter 6. Hinata gasped, trying to fight through pain, staring down her cousin after being knocked down a fourth time. Her vision no longer enhanced by her Byakugan as her chakra pathways were under extreme duress. So at first the light burning sensation that started at her fingertips, while annoying, didn't really compare to the rest of the pain she was in. But that rapidly changed as the burning sensation skyrocketed from just her fingertips to every place on her body, and the sensation intensified. Dropping to her knees, clutching at her shoulders, she began to moan. She was so distracted by her own pain that she didn't hear her future sister wife going through the same problem. Proctor, something is happening to Hinata, Niji stated, sounding confused. Her chakra is spiking. She's not the only one. Haruno-san is doing the same. Hey-8 nodded, watching and hearing as both girls started to scream in agony. Naruto, unsure what was happening and torn between jumping down to help Hinata or look after Sakura. In the end he created a shadow clone to jump down and check on the Hyuga heiress as the proctor called the match in Niji's favor, mostly to get Hinata medical attention. Naruto kneeled down next Sakura. Sakura-chan, can you hear me? Then Naruto, I feel like my body is on fire. What's going on? The rosette-haired girl gasped. Her eyes rolled back as she promptly passed out from the pain. No sooner had she passed out, the transformation began. Naruto could see the major and minor muscles in Sakura's arms coil and tighten, then relax. Her milky pink hair slowly began to darken into a more of a bright red, and then it began to spike, making her look a bit more wild looking. Below, clone Naruto watched as the same thing started happening to Hinata. Her short bluish-black hair turned an almost pitch black, got longer, slightly shoulder length, and start spiking in all directions. For both the clone and the original thought the girls looked sexier like this. The clone scooped Hinata into his arms bridal fashion. The same could be said for the original as he picked up Sakura. Both girls snuggled closer to their prospective Naruto as the medic Nin escorted the orange-haired Saiyan and his clone to the infirmary. The lead medic Nin worked over the two girls feverishly while Naruto stayed in the room but out of the way. The injuries Hinata sustained in the fight with Niji before the incident occurred had been aggravated and made worse, so she had been the main priority. Sakura was simply rendered unconscious by whatever had occurred. I don't understand this. Lady Hinata's genetic structure has been rewritten. Nothing about her is the same genetically aside from the Byakugan to her father or sister. How can this be possible? What do you mean? Naruto asked. If I had to guess, she's not human anymore, the medic Nin explained, then taking a blood sample from Sakura and examined it. The woman frowned, sitting back, crossing her arms. Genetic markers have the same 6 additional tags, but a different genetic code. They're from the same species, just different people. Naruto looked lost and confused as well as worried. A strange high-pitched whine appeared behind them. They are Saiyans like Yugaki, a deep voice stated, causing the medic Nin and Naruto to turn. Dressed in a blue tank top and a blue baggy pants with wild hair sprouting from a radically receding hairline, next to him was a man dressed in orange and blue and had hair that looked like a palm tree. Be Vegeta Ajasan. Naruto blinked. How did you get here? Weren't you in your home dimension? Yes, the Saiyan prince tossed a capsule the size of the pinky finger to Naruto, who caught it. What happened to your woman? We're going through the Chunin exams. She got pretty beat up before something weird happened. She and Sakura-chan started screaming, and Sakura-chan said she felt like her body was on fire. Now you said she's a Saiyan. What did you do? Naruto explained in detail, the medic Nin looking both confused at who these two strange men were and how Naruto knew them. As I said, they are now Saiyans. I used a Dragon Balls first to give in the location to this dimension, so I can give you that capsule. Inside is something we'll discuss more in detail later. The second wish I should have worded a bit more carefully. Vegeta frowned. Goku chuckled. He wished that every Saiyan who had mates, that the mates get turned into Saiyans. His chuckle turned into a frown. Are they alright? He gestured to the two unconscious girls. One is suffering from fatigue done from this wish. As for the other, the stress from the transformation combined with the damage from her fight is not doing her body any favors, the medic Nin explained. Akira, did you bring any senzu beans? Vegeta asked. The naive hero dug into the front of his shirt, produced a small brown sack, never trained without them, pulling on the drawstrings, and pulled out a small green kidney-shaped bean. Can she chew or swallow? What good will that bean do? The medic Nin asked skeptically. It has healing properties, woman. She chews and swallows it. Her injuries, no matter how severe, will be healed. Vegeta smirked slightly. Both girls will get a sizable Zenkai boost from this, I count you as lucky Gaki, he stated, shifting his gaze to the orange-haired boy. Naruto watched as Goku gently put the small bean into Hinata's mouth, then used his hands to grind the bean between Hinata's teeth before holding the girl's nose, forcing her to swallow. A second later, Hinata straight up, her injuries vanished and her eyes wide looking around. Where am I? Naruto sat down next to her. You're in the infirmary, you collapsed during your fight with Neji. He watched the girl's face fall. Hey, he gently touched her chin, bringing her face and eyes to meet his. Don't be ashamed, you fought well, and you didn't really lose by knockout, you were incapacitated by an unforeseen circumstance. Naruto winced. Wow, I think I hurt myself. They all heard a faint chuckle. Using 3 big words in a single sentence must have hurt, Naruto-kun. Naruto turned to see Sakura trying to sit up but feeling so weak, Goku handed her a bean. Raising an eyebrow, looking at the orange-clad elder Saiyan, what's this? Eat it, it'll fix you up, Naruto explained. With a shrug, Sakura did just that, biting into the bean, chewing it, making a face before swallowing. The moment it went down her throat, its power activated and all the fatigue vanished. Wow, what is that? The rosette-haired girl asked. It's called a senzu bean, it's grown at the top of Korin's tower in our dimension, Vegeta replied, crossing his arms. Now that they are feeling better, I like to discuss to the Gaki and his mates why I came here. If you want, woman, you can have the Gaki's parents present, since I know he is probably your village's leader again. The medic Nin felt offended but said nothing, leaving. A few minutes later, Minato, Kushina, and Makoto appeared. Vegeta raised an eyebrow, taking a light sniff. If I didn't know better, Minato, I'd say you were half Saiyan too, mates. Like your son, I am impressed. Minato blushed, rubbing the back of his head. Blame Kushina, it was her decision. Indeed, the Saiyan prince smirked, looking at the red-headed woman with a newfound respect. The woman in question smiled slyly at her husband, putting both her hands behind her head, trying and failing to look innocent. Gaki, you have my knowledge, so you know how to work a Hoipoi capsule, I take it. Naruto nods, pulling out the capsule in question and pushed the top, tossing it in the air. A huge explosion of smoke, clear, sitting in pristine condition on the ground, was a strange device with a 9-inch screen and a flat microphone. What is that? Naruto asked. Bulma said it's an interdimensional communicator. This way you and I can communicate across dimensions, and now that Kakarot knows where your home dimension is, we can come here using his instant transmission technique, the Saiyan prince explained. Naruto picked it up, looking it over before sitting it on the desk. Wow, this is really cool. He then paused, turning and running up to Goku. Can I learn that instant transmission jutsu? Oh, and can you train me? I'll bet it'll be really awesome. The naive heroic Saiyan chuckled. Well, I like your enthusiasm, that's for sure, but don't you need permission from your parents first or something? Oh right, Naruto zipped over to his parents and his godmother, performing the sad eyes jutsu. Can I please? Kushina jumped back in shock. Ah. Who taught you that jutsu? I think I saw Ino-chan use it once on her dad. I thought was really cool how he buckled under it, so I asked Ino-chan to teach me. Naruto scratched his cheek in thought. Come to think of it, that was probably the only time Ino-chan was ever nice to me. Sakura looked down sadly. The same could be said for Hinata, as both missed a lot of opportunities, or in Sakura's case squandered opportunities to get to know the boy, both coming to love more and more with each passing day. Well, I suppose, but only if we can teach you too. I'm pretty sure most of what we gave you is pretty jumbled in that head of yours, Minato stated. The problem is who's going to train you for the entire month leading up to the finals. Oh, the prelims are done, by the way, and your numbered was picked. You'll be in the first match against Neji. The fourth Hokage stated, watching his son nod. HMPH, why don't we all train him and his women, Vegeta stated. We each take turns. Goku smiled, that's right, the hyperbolic time chamber. That's awesome, Vegeta, with the amount time we can get, I'm sure all 3 will master what we can teach them. Makoto raised a hand. What is this time chamber? It's a room where a person can get a year's worth of training in a single day. Vegeta crossed his arms, pursing his lips in thought. Gaki, any thoughts on how to train your women? We have names, you know, Sakura growled. And we're not his, we are our own persons. This made the Saiyan smirk. I see why you like the red-haired one, Gaki. She reminds me of Bulma. Goku chuckled sadly. Wish Goten and Trunks would find girlfriends like her. The Saiyan prince rubbed his chin and thought, well, this dimension doesn't have much in the way of a challenge, you or I. Kakarot, this place does have something our dimension lacks. What's that? His naive rival asked. Stronger women. The Gaki's mother and godmother are strong, power level must be at least 1000 for the both of them, Vegeta stated. Kushina pouted, I'm only at 1000, poopy. Vegeta began to go over what he saw while trapped inside Naruto. I see, you simply do not grasp the full potential of your Kai, you dilute it instead of harnessing it. Goku looked confused. What does this have to do with Trunks and Goten? Simple, you baka, this world have females that would be perfect for them, the wishy-washy females of our dimension do not attract our sons. Like all Saiyans, we want our women to be strong either physically, mentally, or emotionally. Bulma while didn't have physical strength made up for it with her mind. Your Kai Kakarot was raised by her father to be a warrior, so you grew attracted to her through her warrior spirit, and while her father was a fraud, Videl holds a lot traits in common with your Kai, making her ideal for your eldest. Goku nodded, getting the gist of what his rival was saying. Okay, I get it, so you want Goten and Trunks to come here to look for girlfriends. Exactly, Vegeta stated, letting loose his first genuine smile ever that wasn't a smirk or a sneer. I have watched that Gaki of mine for 3 years go through his flavor of the weak bullshit and it sickens me. With a sigh the orange-clad Elder Saiyan nodded. Yeah, Goten has the same problem, Kai isn't happy about it either. Minato spoke up, we're getting off track here, we were talking about training for Naruto, Sakura, and Hinata. Yeah, if you can free a few days sometime in the next month I can take you to Kame's lookout in my dimension, and you can each train your son, I can even find people willing to train the girls. I think 18 and Gohan could probably train the bright red-haired girl, Gohan knows lots pressure points and healing things, well 18 could probably teach her some of her techniques. As for girl in the white coat, I bet Piccolo can train her, she has the same feel Gohan had when he was 4 before you and Nappa arrived. Will your pint-sized friend help his woman with the feisty one? Vegeta asked, smirking at the tick mark appearing above Sakura's right eyebrow. My name is Sakura. The red-haired Saiyan growled, her aura exploding in bluish-white flames. Naruto gently rubbed her shoulders after she calmed down, pulling both her and Hinata into an embrace, the poor Hyuga blushing deep red at the contact. I'm sure Krillin will help a bit, I doubt Gohan or 18 will really need any, Goku replied. So you, me, and Naruto's parents train him, well Piccolo trains white coat girl, 18 and Gohan trains Sakura. Hinata, the Hyuga spoke up. Hinata then, Goku smiled. Minato nods, I'll let Sarutobi know I'll need him to sit in for me for a few days, but will this instant transmission jutsu work? Goku put 2 fingers to his forehead and a second later vanished, another second later here he appeared holding an irate blue-haired woman. Goku, you baka, what do you think you're doing? Sorry Bulma, just checking to see if my instant transmission worked across dimensions, the orange-clad Elder Saiyan explained. The blue-haired woman grumbled, crossing her arms over her chest, well I see what the Vegeta Ajusan means, she does kind of remind me of Sakura-chan, Naruto chirped up. Shut up, Gaki, Vegeta snorts, walking up to his wife. What were you doing when Kakarot showed up that got you upset? GGRRR. Trying to get my hair to stay down, Bulma snapped, reaching up to push her darker blue almost purple colored her down. That wish you made about turning me, Kai, and Videl into Saiyans has given me a case of permanent bad hair day. Do you know how hard it is for me to keep my hair looking as good as it does? Not to mention I had go through having my DNA rewritten, let me tell you, the blue-haired woman flung her hands in the air. It was not pleasant, and that's not even the best part. I'm late. The what? Goku asked. My period, you baka. Bulma shouted, then slapped her hands over mouth, blushing a deep crimson. Ooh, Goku scratched his head, vaguely remembering when Kai told him she had been late. Congratulations Bulma. The blue-haired sighed, turning to her husband, scratching her cheek, I was hoping to tell you a bit more privately. Vegeta stood there stunned for a moment before reaching out and pulling his wife into a hug. I am pleased, Bulma. Wow, that's awesome, Naruto stated. Chapter 7. The Z fighters and spouses, minus Goku, were gathered around the foray of Kami's lookout, waiting for Goku to bring Naruto, his parents, his godparents, and his future wives from their dimension to the Z fighters' dimension. Gohan however frowned a bit, thinking back to 2 years ago, which in Naruto's universe was 5 days ago. Strange, it's like the time between our dimension and Naruto's is shifting almost like 2 wavelengths trying to sync. We go from a 15-year gap in their world to a 2-year gap in our world. Now everything seems to almost blend together seamlessly, how can that be? The eldest of Goku's sons turns and addresses his friends and family, detailing this very thing. You're right Gohan, this shouldn't be possible, unless time and space are being manipulated in some way, Den replied, looking confused. But how? That would be us, and let me tell you it wasn't pretty, a cheerful female chirped up, causing everyone to turn. Standing there were 2 strange-looking female beings, one was roughly came up everyone's chest with purple skin and orange-colored hair, the second woman was of regular height with light blue skin and white flowing hair going almost to the ground, both had black eyes, pointed ears, and wore the robes of the case. Hello. The shortest cheered, holding up 2 victory signs. You're such a child, Time. The taller of the 2 stated. The smaller one pouted, I happen to like being carefree, Space you should do the same. Why you're Supreme Kai's? Den. Yep, the shortest smiled. I'm the Supreme Kai of Time, and this is my sister the Supreme Kai of Space, and as I said, doing what we did to sync space and time so your dimension and that of Naruto's dimension can match up wasn't easy. A lot had to change. Most of the events in Naruto's universe either never happen or will be changed drastically, all thanks to Vegeta's unselfish acts. Is it going to be good or bad? Krillin asked. Mostly good and a few things bad, the Supreme Kai of Space stated. Most of the events that should have happened in Naruto's universe will never happen. The most recent events surrounding Naruto's Chunin exams will even be changed slightly. The events after that though will be changed drastically, to a point where Naruto will be facing enemies in that world he would have waited 4 years and sacrificing a lot of lives to take care of. Now it'll be a freaking cakewalk, the Kai gave Vegeta an irritated glance. Also thanks a lot for that general wish about the Saiyan spouses being turned into Saiyans. You do realize the wish is still active. What do you mean? Bulma asked. She was still irritated at her husband for using the dragon to change her DNA, but in the long run she felt that it was a benefit once she had actually asked to start training with her husband, something she thought had been a time waster before. While she felt sore afterward, she never felt so energetic now, like she could do more and keep focused, plus the prospects of being able to fly without a vehicle in the future was nice, not to mention according to her husband, she'll be able to keep her good looks well into her 80s. It was a general wish. He didn't specifically point out individuals, he said Saiyans as a whole. This means if Trunks, Goten, the baby growing inside you, Little Pan, and any children Naruto's wives produce have spouses, they will be turned into Saiyans, and the cycle will continue. But that one wish Vegeta has assured the revival of the Saiyans in 2 different dimensions, which is why my sister and I had pulled some strings with the ultimate Supreme Kai and the Supreme Kai of the multiverse to sync your dimension with Naruto's. The blue-skinned woman rubbed her forehead. What a headache. Vegeta looked dumbfounded at first before shaking his head, giving a smirk and crossing his arms over his chest. Interesting, but what of our universe's timeline? It slipped into another alternate events version like many others. You may recall future Trunks' timeline is still ongoing. Many of the events that have occurred in your timeline hasn't occurred in his, so much so he's actually working for me, the Supreme Kai of Time explained. There are several others. She taps her lips with a fingernail, thinking. One major change is Majin Buu's reincarnation has been stopped until the next generation. Something about the ultimate Supreme Kai wanting Pan to grow up around her grandfather, plus it'll give her more of a chance to become friends, with the short Kai froze blushing. Oopsie, almost gave away the surprise. This caused a collective facefault from the Z fighters, sending them all crashing to the ground. The Supreme Kai of Space sighed, looking at her sister. Well, we gave you the reasons why your dimension and Naruto's dimension are now synced. I would also suggest you take up Naruto's offer to attend the Chunin exams. It'll be beneficial to both sides. With that, the 2 Supreme Kais vanished just as Goku brought Naruto, his family, and extended family. What? Goku asked, looking confused. It's nothing, Goku, Piccolo stated. So which one is the one I'll be training? Hinata weakly raised her hand while trying for the 30th time since the last 2 days to get her hair to lay flat. So far no such luck. I am Mr. Piccolo. The Namek sighed, walking up to the girl. Great, another Gohan, he smirked. At least I know how to start then. Gohan shook his head. I almost feel sorry for that girl. Why almost? Videl asked, shifting Pan to her other shoulder. Well, Piccolo was never what I call gentle, but when she comes out of the time chamber, I guarantee you anything she has been shy about she won't be shy about anymore, Gohan explained. Sakura waited until Hinata and Piccolo went around the corner and into the building, so what, she'll come out, kiss Naruto-kun, start wearing less conservative clothing, punch someone when they piss her off if that's possible, and actually talk without stuttering. Ah, there's enough sexual tension in that girl, she won't simply kiss the Gaki, she'll jump him, Vegeta snorted. No, he's mine first. Sakura snapped and blushed, causing Naruto to smirk and Jiraiya to giggle while writing in his little research book. GGGRRRR. The rosette-haired girl stomped over to the giggling pervert, snatching his book away. She then handed it to Mikoto, who promptly set it on fire with one of her fire jutsu. Thank you. Piccolo watched as Hinata explored the outside of the living area within the time chamber, which was about as empty as a Saiyan's stomach after a major fight. The room was predominantly white, endless white to be exact, stretching as far as even Hinata's Byakugan could see. What a lonely place, came Hinata's reply. Which is why we'll only spend a day in the real world here. Goku did explain the properties of this room, Piccolo asked. Why yes, how do we start? Hinata asked. Piccolo pulled out a hoi poi capsule and tossed it out into the middle of the empty space. A huge puff of smoke, later a large spherical object appeared with a door. Inside is a gravity chamber. For the first 6 months you are going to periodically go from 10 times to 500 times normal gravity. He held up a hand, stalling Hinata's protests. You aren't human anymore, your body will slowly adapt to the increase in gravity to a point that walking around 500 times gravity will feel like you're walking in 1 times normal. Piccolo quietly pulled out a scroll. In that time you'll memorize these basic martial arts forms for Aikido and Tai Chi. Looking at the scroll, Hinata tilted her head questioning, I don't you understand. Your martial arts is too rigid for you. For your natural grace you need styles that allow you to move and flow like water. I will give you the form of Jeet Kune Do after you've managed to get the basics of these stances. Piccolo crossed his arms, noting the girl's hesitance. Your gentle fist technique is based upon a more rigid form of Jeet Kune Do, focusing on well-placed strikes to the weak points in your world's chakra network. Haikai is about flexibility and flow, while Aikido is about misdirection and letting your opponent provide the power to your moves. The true essence of your family's style is about flow and misdirection. That's why I stated you need to flow like water. Piccolo paused. In short, you need to be like water. If you put water into a cup, it becomes the cup. You put it in your canteen, it becomes the canteen. Water flows, but it also crashes. It shapes as well as erodes. Do understand now? Hinata's eyes sparked at such wonderful philosophy. I understand, Piccolo-sensei. X outside the time chamber 6 hours and 18 pursed her lips looking down at the gasping girl who she had to agree to train. The girl in her honest opinion sucked. Didn't train, well I like primping, keeps Krillin interested, I don't make it my sole thing in life. The blonde-haired bio-android sighed heavily, glancing at her co-trainer. Well, what you think? Reminds me a lot of Vidal, rough around the edges, but I see a lot of potential. I'm thinking something along the lines of praying mantis style of Hungar, mix it with wushu and a lot endurance training, Gohan stated, adjusting his glasses. Add in a little turtle hermit training. Shame the time chamber doesn't have a field tutorial or something to construct. Krillin adding his 2 cents and putting his hands behind his head, looking down at the girl. Sakura looked at her 3 trainer with a mixture of horror and confusion, mostly because didn't know the taijutsu styles they listed, and the very idea of doing physical labor reminded her a little too much of D-ranked missions. Well, she's not a part of the finals, a voice spoke up as Minato walked up. I could arrange for you to take on some farming and construction D-ranked missions after she's done in the time chamber. 18 smirked, that'll work, don't suppose you have a lake with a giant shark? She snickered, looking at Sakura's increasingly horrified expression. When she and Krillin first got together, the short man explained in detail his initial training with Goku and the amount of labor-intensive chores they did, along with extremely heavy shells strapped to their back. The amount of hell her husband had done when he was a kid made her respect him a bit more. She found him fairly charming and a bit naive, but not as much as Goku. She often wondered if her alternate timeline self had killed him herself, or did 17 kill him. Something to ask future Trunks if I ever meet him again. She didn't like the thought that could actually harm her husband, and she prayed daily that there wasn't some kind of hidden program in her brain lying dormant to do just that. Minato shook his head, looking a bit worried at such a comment. No shark, why? Krillin snickered, something Goku and I had to deal with during training with Master Roshi, but if you have a swimming pool or a reasonably large lake, that'll work just as well. The blonde-haired Hokage shrugged. There's a large lake about a mile south of Konoha, most people use it as a picnic spot. Perfect, after we get into the time chamber and whip Sakura here into shape martial arts wise, we'll take her to do those D-ranked missions. Gohan smiled, watching Sakura seem to groan long and low at her impending doom. Naruto was both more fortunate and less so. His taskmasters were the 2 full-blooded Saiyans and his mother, as well as his godmother. Little did he know the passing knowledge he acquired would spark a thirst for everything that was seals. After Hinata and Sakura would get their turns at the time chamber, Naruto would then get his turns, 4 days with each trainer. Vegeta was going to make it his mission to get Naruto to transform into a Super Saiyan. Goku would teach him the instant transmission, his Kamehameha and the Spirit Bomb. Kushina told him she would teach him how to understand the information he got from the knowledge on seals, his family's taijutsu, and simply to spend time with his mother. Mikoto would help refine his already expert elusive skills, help him in his tracking abilities, and stealth. Goku was currently doing an overview of the instant transmission, as it was the easiest to do while waiting for Hinata to emerge and Sakura to go in. Basically, you have to have been at the area you want to teleport to, and you have to paint a clear picture of it in your mind, the orange-clad Saiyan explained. Naruto had long abandoned his orange jumpsuit to wear a black outfit similar to Goku's while wearing orange underneath. Think Vegeto's outfit, a long black cloak similar to his father's with orange flames. We'll go into more details later. Mostly the scary sides. Hinata was crouched, gasping for air. The intensity of her training, combined with her sensei's unrelenting pressure, had been a godsend, and the fact her sensei wasn't belittling her abilities or coddling her had made her grow. Her muscle tone from the intense gravity from the spherical room made her sleek and agile. Her clothing was in shambles, but the color scheme looked nice, purple with a slight gray tone mixed in. Piccolo had given her an outfit similar to his after her shinobi gear had been thrashed by her intense gravity training. Her hair was now down to her mid-back, which with her now Saiyan blood, made it look like a prickly cactus, her fierce-looking lavender eye glowing in anticipation of leaving the time chamber looking for Naruto and showing how much she had grown. She wanted him more now than she did entering the chamber, the training had brought about a carnal lust in her. I know Sakura will want him first, so I'll take them into that bedroom I spotted on the way in here, rip Sakura-chan's clothing off of her, push Naruto-kun to the bed, while giving him a preview of what's to come by making Sakura-chan squirm on my fingers. Hinata licked her lips standing up glancing at the huge Herglasses just imagining getting Sakura to squirm was enough to get her wet. Are we done? Piccolo smirked watching her, the closer to the time they were to be let out the more distracted the girl seemed to get. She still managed to absorb everything he taught her, though to the point they were now sparring daily, mostly to keep her focused while at the same time distracted. He was now pretty certain that once they left that all thoughts of training Sakura and Naruto would be put off a night at the very least. Same will probably be said after Sakura is brought into the chamber for her run. Yes, let's go. Everyone heard the bell signaling the time chamber had been opened. Sakura moved to stand next to Naruto, waiting to see how Hinata did and looked. No one had to wait long as Hinata walked up at pretty good pace, her purple outfit frazzled and ripped in various places, her hair long, but it was her eyes that showed how much she truly changed. Gone was the timid flower that entered the chamber, while she still felt like Hinata there was confidence in her stride. She walked up to Naruto, grabbed him by the collar of his cloak and pulled him into a hungry kiss that spoke of longing and lust. Before Sakura could protest, Hinata let Naruto go, then grabbed the rosette-haired girl and proceeded to do the same to her. After separating from the dazed red-haired girl, she grabbed both their hands and started pulling them away. Naruto-kun, Sakura-chan, and I have something to do with you tomorrow afternoon, she stated. Why afternoon? Goku asked, scratching his head. Because I doubt we'll get much sleep tonight, Hinata replied with a surprising dirty smirk on her face. Remember silencing jutsus, I don't need to hear my Sachi's girlfriend screaming his name in lustful moans, Kushina chirped up, earning her a raised eyebrow from 18 and Makoto. Minato sighed, shaking his head, while Vegeta let loose his own smirk. Well, they are occupied, I guess we have an evening to ourselves. Kushina licked her lips, say Dend is the room my Sachi and his girlfriend's going to, the only bedroom? Dend shook his head, the lookout has had to house multiple people before, there are several rooms in the back you can take. Oh good, I don't want my future daughter-in-laws showing me up. Kushina grabbed her husband and Makoto by the arms and dragged them into the back. Kushina, is this really necessary? Minato asked. Yep, Dadabane. The red-haired woman chirped, hearing a long sigh from Makoto, along with a faint giggle. See, Makoto wants it, so Minato-kun, you better get ready for a long night. After the six shinobi left, 18 pursed her lips, I kind of like red. Chapter 8. Minato stood quietly watching his son go over the seal portion of the Hiraishin. Internally he was always amazed at how Kushina was a natural at seals. Now fast forward to his son, and how well the young man grasped the concepts. The fourth Hokage couldn't be more proud of his child. Sitting quietly watched his son work on ways to mark opponents and everyday items with the Hiraishin seal, so it was possible to travel great distances quickly, or quicker than a Saiyan could fly. Minato smirked slightly as other thoughts drifted into his mind, like the day after Hinata emerged from her time in the chamber. She had been correct when she dragged Naruto and Sakura into one of the bedrooms, the trio hadn't emerged for 2 whole days instead of just 1. When they finally did emerge, Sakura was taken by 18, Krillin, and Gohan into the time chamber, with 18 making the single comment, guess we don't really need to work on your stamina. Why do you say that, 18? Gohan asked. If you can fuck for 2 days straight and actually come out looking refreshed, then you don't need stamina and endurance training, 18 stated with a lewd smile. Speaking of which, Krillin, I think we need our own stamina and endurance training after these exams are done. Gohan chuckled, giving a brief shrug. Krillin gave a goofy grin, nodding rapidly before the trio entered with Sakura. Kushina gave her son a dry, knowing smile, you know she'll be just as horny coming out as Hinata was. It's the way of the Saiyan, Vegeta explained, smirking. Tell me, Kakarot, has your woman taken up sparring with you and your youngest Gaki yet? Goku smiled, nodding, oh yeah, it's been fun, reminds me constantly of our match at the World Martial Arts Tournament. I can imagine, Videl stated, shifting her weight, trying to weigh down her hair for the umpteenth time since Vegeta's wish had been made. She hadn't had her hair this wild looking since before the fight with Majin Buu. While it was annoying, she felt it brought her closer to her husband and her daughter, who was currently fussing, holding her arms out to her grandpa. Okay Pan, she sighed, shaking her head, walking up to her father-in-law. Goku smiled gently, holding the infant out, making weird faces to his granddaughter, getting her to giggle. Videl sighed sadly, she felt a hand on her shoulder, looking up at the red-haired Uzumaki. All little girls are like that, they look up to their grandpas. Growing up before I was sent to Konoha, I spent a lot of time with mine. I know, and she doesn't do it all the time. Maybe I'm just a bit jealous. My dad was an orphan, and my mom's parents both died when she just got out of her 20s, so I never met my grandparents, Videl explained. Kushina smiled brightly, patting the younger woman on the shoulder, before frowning. If this is uncomfortable please let me know, but what happened to your mom? Little looked up at the sky, her face giving a pained expression. She was killed when Vegeta and Nappa first landed on Earth, though I didn't know it at the time. Vegeta's eyes tightened as he listened in, hearing the aftermath of one of his many earlier sins wasn't comfortable. Even though he didn't perform the Kai blast that wiped out that city, he did condone it. What was your mother doing? Kushina asked. She was Dad's wrestling promoter and manager along with most of his students, Vidal smiled sadly. Dad told me she loved the work, going to various cities to promote him. This was before he got into martial arts. She was in that town promoting an upcoming wrestling event when the Saiyans landed. The dark-haired woman leaned forward, tears coming out of her eyes. Dad was watching the news and caught the big one just seemed to point his fingers skyward before the screen went blank. Nappa called that attack Giant Storm, Vegeta stated watching the sky. Everything within a 10-mile radius was incinerated. Vidal grimaced. She long since forgiven Vegeta, but it was often hard. Her only saving grace was the knowledge that her mother's murderer had been also killed by the prince after Goku crippled the larger Saiyan. I remember my father had been glued to the television for hours watching the news reports and the live footage. I didn't recognize any of the fighters at the time until Gohan explained everything. The dark-haired woman hugged herself. It was after that Dad went into martial arts. He promised he never let anyone go through what he went through again. Wow, that's what I call motivation, Kushina smiled. The dark-haired woman snorted. Don't be. He covers that aspect by being a blowhard, a goofball, and getting into stuff that's way over his head. I'm glad Cell didn't take him seriously, the woman teared up. If he had, I'd have lost my dad that day. The red-haired Uzumaki gently pulled the woman into a hug. Well, things worked out and you got an even bigger family now, Dadabane. Vidal smiled, wiping her tears as Goku handed Pan back to her. No doubt the infant sensing her mother's stress and wanting to be held. True to form, Sakura emerged, grabbing both her future husband and her sister wife by the hands, dragging both into the bedroom for another round of ball-busting, mind-blowing sex. 18 smirked, crossing her arms over her chest. Girl has a lot of potential, needs someone who's better at medicine than Gohan though. Oh, I know who we can get to teach her, Kushina jumped up and down excitedly. Minato-kun, let me take Pervy Sage and Sachi to look for the old hag after the exams. The blonde-haired Hokage sighed, rubbing his temples. You know she hates it when you call her that. The redhead giggles, eyes sparkling with mischief. So, my cousin needs to brace up and listen to the music. She can't spend her life moping and sucking down sake like it's going out of style. Letting out a long-suffering sigh, nodding. Fine, once the exams are done I'll draw up an A-rank mission scroll to bring back Tsunade to Konoha. Sitting at the dinner table after explaining in detail what her training had been, Sakura waited on bated breath as her parents absorbed the information. She was both encouraged and disheartened at their reaction. Kizashi walked over to a cabinet, pulling out a bottle of sake, not even bothering to pour some into a cup, drank a bit straight from the bottle. Mibuki just sighed, leaning forward, resting her head in her hands. I see, the woman said softly. What are these people like? I only met Vegeta, his wife Bulma, Goku, his son Gohan, his daughter-in-law Vidal, his granddaughter Pan who's really cute, Sakura giggled. His best friend Krillin, Krillin's wife 18, Dend, and a guy named Piccolo. So I can't really judge everyone, but who I've met were really nice people. But that's nothing compared to how I feel when I'm with Naruto, the rosette-haired girl said softly. Considering how he came off at first, I'm surprised you didn't punch him, Kizashi stated. Sakura sighed, thinking about Naruto's almost overly aggressive act when he woke up in the forest of death. I wanted to when he first kissed me, but the longer the kiss went on the more right it felt. Looking extremely confused, turning to her parents, is that wrong? I mean, it started I was appalled, then I ended up practically wanting to suck his face off. Is that normal? Kizashi sighed, plopping down in a chair, messaging his temples. This could only happen to a Haruno. If it went that quickly over just a kiss, it may have something to do with your Haruno genes. Mibuki raised a delicate eyebrow. I thought the soul bond stuff was a myth in your family. The pink-haired man sighed, rubbing his temples. No, not a myth, but really rare, like once in every 100 will ever find their soul bond mate. Looks like Sakura found hers at the tender age of 6. Sakura blinked, thinking back to that time before Ino and her Sasuke fangirl indoctrination. She frozen as a memory sparked. Why did I keep going to the park when I knew I would get harassed by bullies? Her answer came in the form and image of an orange-haired boy wearing a white shirt, black shorts, chasing away her bullies, and then after introduction, she gave the boy a hug. She sat there looking stunned. I completely forgot I met Naruto when I was 6. It's understandable, sweetheart, you had a lot traumatic experiences with those bullies, Mibuki responded, gently patting her shoulder. Sakura's father smiled softly. Things have gotten better, haven't they? The rosette-haired girl thought about it and nodded. Her life had definitely gotten better. Oh yeah, Naruto-kun and Hinata-chan rocked our world from dusk till dawn twice. Cha. Inner Sakura made her presence known, which in turn caused the outer persona to support a healthy blush and a minor nosebleed, remembering the position she and Hinata had taken, each one more lewd than the last. It's still kind of surreal to be in a three-way relationship alongside the Hyuga heiress and Naruto, especially since I wanted to be with Sasuke barely a month ago. Hisashi frowned deeply, remembering what his daughter told him about Sasuke's behavior. Well, he didn't particularly like Naruto's own behavior regarding his daughter, at least the boy redeemed himself. The Uchiha, on the other hand, the only redeeming factor was Naruto's intervention. I'd kill the little shit personally, and I'm surprised at Naruto's restraint. Sakura sighed, it wasn't pity, more or less it was the fact there were no witnesses, otherwise I'm pretty sure Naruto would have killed Sasuke. Would have been good riddance then, the pink-haired man grumped. Did you and Hinata use any contraception, Sakura-chan? Mibuyuki asked, a bit now that she was able to fully process her baby girl was no longer a baby. The red-haired froze. In their first romp both she and Hinata did use the contraception jutsu, but 18's constant jabs and lewd jokes had gotten her so hot and bothered the moment she emerged from the time chamber. It took all her willpower not to simply take her future husband and her sister wife right there on the main floor in plain view of Naruto's parents, godmother, and newest friends. Needless to say, she hadn't been thinking clearly when she got her boyfriend and girlfriend into the bedroom. The first time yes, the second time no. Your period. Mibuyuki went to the calendar, waiting. Sakura and her mother had worked out the days it would start and end since her first a year ago. It won't start for another week, the Rosette stated in a heightened tone, gasping for air. This good or bad? Kizashi asked, confused. The blonde-haired Haruno raised a simple eyebrow at her husband. If her period goes late, I'd say we'll have an interesting 9 months to think about it, dear. We won't find out till after the finals and the exams, Sakura morosely stated, mentally praying to whatever kami that would listen that she didn't end up pregnant because of lust-filled stupidity, but according to Vegeta, most first matings turn out to be the factor in providing heirs. Granted, it had been her second mating session, but it had been the first unprotected. I just hope Vegeta-sen is wrong. Well, I like the prospect of giving Naruto-kun some kids. I would really like to wait 3 or 4 years. The Ashi Hyuga sat in the Seiza position. Surrounding him on both sides was the Elder Council. The reason for the gathering: his eldest daughter asked to spar with her younger sister, and the elders decided to use this as an opportunity to judge if Hinata should be placed in the branch house and make way for Hanabi to become clan heiress. The old fools have no idea what Hinata has been doing the past month. I wouldn't have believed it if Minato and Naruto hadn't taken me there to show me. I feel sorry for Hanabi and would almost feel sorry for the elders if wasn't for what they plan to do to Hanabi if she loses. Hanabi stood across from her sister, feeling worried both for herself and for her sister, because either way, regardless of the outcome, someone was getting branded. Why did you make this challenge, sister? I didn't make the challenge to fight you, sister, Hinata said softly, glaring at the elders. They put you into this position. If I lose, they think they'll be able to brand me, thinking I'm weak and not worthy of being heir. If you lose, they'll try to brand you, calling you weak for losing to me. The Hyuga heiress snorts in disgust. They should pick their fights better. Once that was said, Minato, Naruto, and Vegeta appeared, the last sneering at the elders, the same type of sneer he used on Goku just before he blasted an entire section of cheering fans after he was given the Majin mark by Babidi. Needless to say, it wasn't a pleasant sight. Hinata smiled faintly, walking forward and hugging her younger sister. After the exam finals, I'll be moving into the Namikaze estate, as the 4th Hokage will announce Naruto-kun has chosen the wives to help rebuild his clan. I'm one of them. Hanabi's eyes widen in surprise before letting loose a huge smile. Why, you mean he accepts you, the one you've been dreaming of? Hinata's smile grew and nods. Yes, I have to share him, but I don't mind. The chief elder stood. Never, we will not allow such a thing. Like you are in a position to make threats or demands, I'd say we should do what I wanted to do and kill them, less of a headache, Vegeta snorts, watching the elders pale. The Ashi bowed to the Saiyan prince. I apologize to you, Prince Vegeta, the elders are steeped too much in tradition. Traditions must be followed, and I refuse to allow the heiress to marry outside the clan, the eldest of the elders, Akahiyashi's father, Hinata's grandfather, stated. Tradition leads down roads both good and bad. In your case, as well as my own, tradition ends badly, Vegeta stated, bringing his hand up, palm spread. This got Minato, Naruto, and Hiashi worried. Hinata simply turned, putting Hanabi behind her. The Saiyan tradition your granddaughter is now a part of was a very bloody tradition. We destroyed entire civilizations just so we could sell their planets. Know this: if you so much as approach one of my subjects or anyone she considers her family with this bird-caged seal, I'll personally introduce you to the old Saiyan traditions and render this entire section of the Konoha barren of all life. With that, the Saiyan prince left the room. The Ashi's father looked shakily at his son. Why you would let outsiders into our meetings now, Hiashi? The Hyuga clan head glared at his father. "You dictated to me once before of our clan's worth, and I lost my brother. You planned on dictating to me again of traditions, and planned on marking my eldest child with the seal. Do you have any idea what would happen to our clan if I allowed you to follow through with what you planned?" "Nothing," the elder stated pompously. "That is where you would be wrong," Minato stated, making his presence known. "Naruto chose Hinata as one of his wives to revive the Uzumaki clan here in Konoha. The Uzumaki clan prides itself on seals, so marking her wouldn't be the real problem between Naruto and Kushina. They probably get rid of the seal before the ink finished drying, but it would construe a breach of trust between clans within the village and start a clan war, one the Hyuga clan would lose. Doubly so because Naruto will offer the branch family asylum in the Uzumaki clan walls and would be willing to remove the seal as a sign of union between Naruto and Hinata. I'd activate the seal before any of that happened. I make sure the moment she was marked it be activated," the elder stated coldly. "I will not allow my clan to be soiled in such a way. Like I'm going to let you slap it on me or my sister, grandfather," Hinata stated haughtily. "I asked for this spar to take place to show you how futile it will be, and once the spar is done, I'm taking me and my sister to the Namikaze estate to get as far from you as possible." HMPH, the elder stood up walking over to Hanabi and pushed her away roughly. Naruto grabbed her before she fall, causing the younger girl to blush. He smirked, hoisting her up and over his head for her to sit on his shoulders as he walked back to give his Hinata-chan the room she would need to beat her grandfather into submission. The elder dropped into the traditional gentle fist stance. Hinata however seemed to slide into a rather loose and flowing version of the stance. Visually the elder had seen one far too similar to his liking. Scowling slightly, "So like your mother, gentle when she should have been hard, warm instead of cold, kind instead of ruthless. She was such a terrible match for my son, and then she bore you, and I knew you would follow her example, the same weak example. Now you infect Hanabi with your weakness. I'm going to be doing our clan a great favor." Hinata sighed, "Shut up and fight." Chapter 9. The Hyuga elder stood gasping for breath. He always considered himself in great shape, keeping himself from getting soft. He trained not as much as in his youth, but enough to keep the edge on. But staring down his failure of a granddaughter who looked like she wasn't even winded irked him like nothing. "Why you fool reliquaire mother," the man scowled. Hinata's eyes narrowed slightly. She had compassion and love for everyone, both main and branch. "Shuaswikshawacious benefier," the elder took a deep breath to steady his speech. "If your father had chosen the woman I set him up with, then you and your sister would never come into being. I would have a strong and ruthless grandson right now to train and succeed him. But no, I get you and Hanabi both spitting images of that timid waste of time Hitomi." Hinata sighed almost sadly, looking at the man. There was no love or even acknowledgement in his eyes, just scorn, hatred. This caused her to wonder, was he involved in mother's death somehow? Both births had been remarkably difficult and doubled as the pregnancies went on, to the point that when Hanabi came her mother had no strength in her body and her heart gave out. Only subtle well-placed Juukan strikes could mimic flailing health, and no one outside of Tsunade herself could have seen the signs. "Why you murdered her," the Saiyan Hyuga growled. "You used Juukan to strike at vital points that weaken her health gradually." She watched her grandfather sneer before glancing at Naruto, who gave her a subtle nod. Her rage built up. While she had suspected this to small degree, she would have never imagined her father's sperm donor to hate her mother so much that he would kill her. "How dare you?" Bringing both her arms across her chest with both her index finger and middle fingers extended. "You're within range of my field of fire. I'm going to end you." "Your pathetic Juukan strikes will do nothing," the old man snorted, but secretly he was worried because the stance she was in wasn't even remotely like the 8 trigram 64 palms jutsu. His worry increased when he saw both of Hinata's fingers began to spark, then a bright yellowish purple glow appear. "Oh, this isn't the 8 trigrams jutsu you're familiar with, this is something I invented with Piccolo-sensei. I combined his strongest Kai attack with my own version of the 8 trigrams jutsu, one that mother had been working on before her death at apparently your hands, so it's only fitting I use it on you." She did a pirouette, bringing her hands away from her body. 80 trigrams. Special beam Gatling cannon. Before the elder could react, Hinata started using a strange corkscrew-style beam of energy that first lanced through his upper arm, destroying muscle, bone, and tissue. The elder could only register the outrageous amounts of pain as his world spiraled into a vortex of blood and gore as the energy beams tore through his entire body in rapid fashion. When Hinata was done, the biggest piece of him was his head, which promptly collapsed to the ground and rolled until it stopped in front of the other elders. She ended her pirouette and dropped her hands, eyes closed with her body shaking. A few seconds later she felt 2 warm arms wrap around her from behind and another from the front. One behind she knew by his smell, the other judging by the height was her little sister. Taking a few deep breaths, opening her eyes, glaring at the other elders. I will not put myself or my little sister into conflict with the branch family, nor will I turn a blind eye to the main branch's practices of subjugating the branch family as such. I asked the Uzumaki clan to remove the birdcage seal immediately. What of Kumo? Surely you don't want our clanmates used as breeding stock? The eldest woman asked. After how the main family treated the branch family, and if Kumo was willing to give them respect and acknowledgement, then yes, Kumo would be a much more beneficial arrangement than what they have now, you old hag. Hinata scowled. Everyone, branch members included, jumped at Hinata's mode of speech. This was not the same Hinata the Hyuga clan had come to know. 1. She was speaking with no stutter. 2. She was forceful and determined, yet many of the branch members still saw the kind-hearted girl that adored them as she grew. This family has been separate for far too long, and I will not stand for it a second longer. Not a single sound was heard until a series of slow claps was heard, prompting everyone to turn to see Hiashi clapping with pride in his eyes. I am proud, my daughter, to see you finally live up to your mother's legacy brings great joy to my heart. He paused, walking up to her, Hanabi, and Naruto, pride practically swelling in his chest. Look at our daughter Hitomi, I finally see your confidence and gentleness in her. I feared it would take so much more and a great deal more hardship before she became the beautiful flower that I see before me. Whoever this Piccolo is, I must thank him for bringing out my daughter's potential. Hitausen. Hinata looked at her father questionably. The Ashi held up a hand, turning to address his youngest, Hanabi. This is what your mother was like after Kushina fixed her confidence issues. She was warm and kind, but was not afraid to speak her mind and lay down the law. He turned to the elders, glaring at them. If I find out that any of you had plotted with my father to kill Hitomi, you will be joining him in death. The elders all nodded as Hiashi smiled faintly at his eldest daughter. I can see you doing well in the future, Hinata-chan. I am sorry for treating you harshly as I have in the past. I wanted you to gain confidence, and instead I pushed you further into your shell. It took a complete stranger to break you out of that shell. Hinata smiled faintly. She was finally being acknowledged by her father, and it felt both wonderful and a bit bittersweet. It wasn't just you, Kurenai-sensei coddled me. Piccolo-sensei not only helped me with my training, he also helped me realize I would not get anywhere sitting back waiting to be seen. I will no longer sit on the sidelines. I will stand side by side with my intended and my sister wife to usher in changes. The Ashi nods, smiling. I look forward to seeing more in the future. I also would like permission to begin living with Naruto-kun, Hinata said softly. I want to solidify my place at his right side while Sakura takes her place on his left. After the Chunin exams, we plan to form a new team. The Ashi nodded. If that is your wish, then by all means. Judging by Naruto's own actions during this conflict, he supports any decision we make. He gets a nod from the whisker-marked Saiyan. It is good to see you again, Minato, but where is Kushina? Minato blushed and sighed. Kushina and Makoto are currently dead to the world, I believe the term is. Last night both were highly energetic. Translation: Dad got laid 6 ways from Sunday. My godmother and my mother are sleeping blissfully happy. Naruto smiled slyly. The blonde Hokage sighed heavily, glancing at his son. I wasn't going to use those terms, son. Meh, semantics, Naruto replied as Hiashi cleared his throat, trying hard not to blush at his longtime friend's expense. Oh, what about Niji and the pull up his ass? You want me to pull it out and beat him with it? Hiashi thought about it, not the term I would use, but if you can humble him a bit, I would be most grateful. His fixation on fate needs to be removed before it gets him killed. Oh, I can do that, alright. 1 order of humble pie coming up, Naruto stated, gently running his hand down Hinata's back, who was fidgeting with each stroke. He smirked, noting she was glancing out the corner of her eyes, and they promised him a long night of passion. XXX day before the finals. Trunks sighed heavily, wandering through the hidden leaf. Both he and Goten had been encouraged to explore the elemental nations. Encourage my ass, Dad practically tossed in this world and said, go find a mate worthy of you, Gaki. Trunks sighed again. At first he was going to refuse until he thought about it. Every girl he's been with lasted maybe a week or less. Something about their attitude, personality, or lack of fire turned him off. He finally broke down and asked his father what was wrong, and the reply came back, you are looking for someone who's strong. It doesn't have to be physical strength either. Your mother lacks physical strength at present, but she makes it up in 2 areas. She has a powerful mind and an iron will. So here was the Demi-Saiyan wandering the hidden leaf looking for someone to spark interest. Needless to say, he found plenty of women in the village that did just that. Most of the Kunoichis were strong and fierce, however most were 10 to 20 years older than himself. While not a bad thing in retrospective, it wasn't good either. There were only 3 girls around his age that he met to date, Hinata, Sakura, and Ino. Of the 3 only Ino was single, and she reminded him way too much of Krillin's first girlfriend Marin. Needy, physically obsessed with herself, a gossip, and bossy, none sparked much interest and was way too high maintenance. As he wandered, his super-sensitive nose picked up the distinct smell of metal, charcoal, borax, and tempering oil. Scanning the buildings he found a blacksmith shop to his right. Higurashi ninja steel, Trunks perked up glancing over his right shoulder at his sword. Well, I do need a new whetstone for my sword and maybe I can order a backup. Walking into the building he saw rows of shinobi gear, shirts, pants, cloth for the headbands, mesh shirts, armor weaved shirts. Then there was rows of boxes with shuriken kunai, blank storage scrolls. In the back behind the counter were the bigger weapons, swords, pole arms, kadachi, sei, nunchakus. Letting out a low whistle, now this is something. See something you like? Came a chipper feminine voice to Trunks' left. He turned and came face to face with a girl whose hair was done in buns, wearing a Chinese-style pink no-sleeve shirt, black pants. She wore a shinobi headband and a pleasant smile. She also looked to be around Trunks' age. See a lot of things I like, Trunks chuckled. Got an awesome shop here, Trunks briefs. Tenten Higurashi, my family owns the place, Tenten chirped. You're new here aren't you? Nodding, yeah my dad practically tossed me and my best friend at his dad and said go explore this new world. Goten took it to heart and flew off, myself I stayed around. That's pretty awesome, the weapon mistress stated, you're from that group Naruto knows right? Yep, Trunks stated. Not against that are you, heard a lot of people bad-mouthing Naruto just walking down the street. Absolutely not I was one of the only kids in the orphanage that looked after Naruto, well before I got adopted anyway, Tenten said with a pained smile. I'm glad his parents are alive and he's making some new friends. Cool, both drifted off into awkward silence before Trunks smacked his head, sorry, can I get a whetstone and maybe look at some of your sword patterns? Tenten giggled walking behind the counter and pulling out a selection of whetstones and large booklet. Can I have a look at your sword, it'll help determine the whetstone. Trunks unsheathed his sword and casually flipped the sword into the air, catching its blade, first handing it to her. She looked at it with a great deal of reverence. This is a good quality sword, where did you get it? Trunks smiled sadly, a friend. The weapon mistress nodded inspecting it holding it up checking the edge, a grade 6 whetstone, anything more and it'll warp the edge. She moved all but one of the stone back under the counter. That'll be 350 ryo, Trunks handed her the money. How Trunks got the cash was from his mother, she handed him gold she exchanged from the bank from the family account, which once he and Goten arrived in the elemental nations, they went to the local bank in the Hidden Leaf and had the gold turned into ryo, then split it down the middle for travel, food, and leisure expenses. Why look for another sword, this one is an excellent piece. That's the reason, I like a new sword made mostly so I can put this up and not use it, give it a nice place of remembrance for my friend, the Demi-Saiyan explained. Tenten's eyes widened for a second at the realization and blushed a bit, never thought about that, well if you pick out a pattern you like my dad should be home tomorrow and we can get started the day after the finals. Trunks smiled and nodded looking down at the booklet opening it, as he looked the two got into a long conversation involving their adventures, Tenten's missions with her eccentric sensei, her equally eccentric teammate, and her rather broody other teammate. Emos, Trunks snorted causing Tenten to giggle. My dad was like that before he met my mom, still is from time to time. Who do you think will win the tournament tomorrow? The weapon mistress asked. Don't think I know Naruto will win, Trunks smirked. How do you know that? Granted he beat Kiba like he was nothing in the prelims, but he graduated last of his class, Tenten stated. Never ever underestimate someone just because they ain't the brightest tool in the shed. My godfather grew up virtually by himself in a house in the middle of nowhere, his understanding of the outside in general was so bad he couldn't tell the difference between girls and boys for nearly 10 years. It took him meeting my mom and his wife to break him of that, the Demi-Saiyan paused. Sorry just my godfather is easily the strongest guy in our universe and Naruto reminds me a lot of him. The girl nodded smiles, that's not what I mean, but I'm glad someone is sticking up for him. Trunks blushed scratching the back of his head, yeah sorry, anyway Naruto got training from my dad, my godfather, and his parents during the month, and let me tell you, I can see why his parents were the strongest ninja in this village at one time. Really how did they squeeze in so much training? Tenten asked. Trunks thought about it, well if you promise not say anything and maybe if you let me take you out to dinner tonight, I might spill the beans on how he got so much training in, and to sweeten the deal I'll throw in extra for that new sword, pointing at a picture in the booklet. Blushing slightly at being asked out, she paused looking at the time and froze, they had been talking for almost 5 hours. Looking stunned, she never had held a conversation with anyone customer or not anything longer enough to get orders from her sensei, take an order from a customer, or talk to her foster parents. Glancing at the Demi-Saiyan she found him to nice cute appreciated weaponry and above all didn't talk down to her like most boys she talked to, only Lee had ever treated her like an equal. Sure, maybe I can weasel some sword techniques out of you too, she smirks. Trunks laughed, I'm up for any training you can think of. Chapter 10. XXX flashback Goten and Trunks frowned at his father as they materialized just outside the Namikaze household. Goku was oblivious to these frowns as his eyes were still closed. When he opened them he either didn't notice said frowns or ignored them. Okay, Vegeta and I agreed the two of you need stop. Goku paused focusing. What did Vegeta say? Oh yeah. He said you need to stop going through your flings of the week. So we both felt Naruto's world would be ideal for you two to find girlfriends that you'll actually stay with longer than a week or two. So go and find a girlfriend, Goku stated before using his instant transmission and vanishing. Trunks groaned looking at his longtime best friend. I knew this was going to happen, Dad's been grumbling about it for almost a year. Goten shrugged, well could be a lot worse, but do you know why we were thrown into Naruto's world for this? Well, Dad explained to me before dragging me over to your place, that reason we haven't found any girls we like is that our Saiyan blood wants strong women, even gave examples, my mom's brains, your mom being a fighter which I am not going to lie, Goten makes your mom huat. Then you got Videl and the fact she's been training since she was Gohan's age, then 18, don't know why my future self hates her, but she's hot too, Trunks explained. Goten being the more naive of the two, so really smart or really strong I got it, the youngest son began using his passive scan of the surrounding area to determine if there were any girls that matched in the strength department. Wow, can you feel that? Most of the girls in this village are leagues better than the girls we've met in school. Trunks did his own passive scan and frowned slightly, yeah, he continued scanning, and the more he scanned the more his interest was piqued. Wow, that is a lot, letting loose a sneer that would make his father proud glancing at his best friend. Looks like we got some browsing to do, Goten. The younger Saiyan snickered. True, he glanced at the capsule Trunks was given. Isn't Minato in the village right now? Maybe we can ask him where the nearest bank is, so we can exchange those gold ingots your mom gave you into some spending money, then we can partake in browsing. Right, let's go. The two Demi-Saiyans took heading for the Hokage Tower. XXN flashback. Goten was currently flying over a large forest, unlike Trunks who settled on looking for the preferable needle in the haystack, Goku's youngest left the confines of the hidden leaf to explore the surrounding countryside. After all he decided to go out and find the strongest girl around his age. He had scanned the entire hidden leaf and found several girls in his range, but most were well into their 20s and 30s. One did strike his fancy that was in her early 20s, but she was a tad on the sadistic side, threats of feeding his junk to her snakes kind of put him off. And no other girls really drew his attention. Ino reminded him a little too much of his mother only without any of her good traits. Sakura and Hinata both were completely devoted to Naruto, so they were out. He sensed a potential candidate, but it also sensed Trunks heading in that direction, so he balked focusing on higher power levels outside the village. He found one that was really high, almost on par with Naruto's mom when he spotted her, though he noticed she was older than him by a lot, regardless of the illusion she was showing, so her candidacy was flushed. With a deep sigh the Demi-Saiyan hovered, eyes closed, stretching out his senses as high and as far as they could go. What he found was both awesome and concerning at the same time. Two other power levels overlapped the more feminine one he felt. Hers was the highest he felt outside of Naruto, Sakura, and Hinata, who had told him and Trunks could only mean one thing. Jinchuriki, he whispered aloud. Not wasting another second ignited his aura and flew at high speed toward those three power levels. Through the Jinchuriki of the seven-tailed stag beetle, Jamae was currently battling two men in black cloaks with red clouds printed on them, and she was losing. Gasping heavily trying to stem the bleeding from holes the loud mouth of the two had given her. She couldn't understand it at first how it was possible until she saw the pentagram underneath the man. She grimaced at the metallic taste in her mouth. Great internal injuries, she dropped to her knees, could almost feel her two assailants stalking toward her. She knew almost instantly the moment they got to her, she would be knocked out and not wake up again. Trying to fight off going unconscious, looking up, her eyes widen at what was approaching her attackers from behind. Haiden smirked looking down at the Jinchuriki slinging his scythe casually on his shoulder. About fucking time, he snorted, then suddenly he felt an ungodly amount of pain before getting launched into the air. Kakuzu turned in time to see a boy no older than the Jinchuriki bringing his hand up and saw what looked like a jutsu. However, before he could register enough speed to perform a replacement jutsu, his world lit up and he vanished from this mortal world. Goten quickly used his senses to determine that the one he booted into the next forest, finding him surprisingly alive but currently incapacitated. He quickly ran over to the girl. Are you alright? Oh, did you fly? The girl asked him, looking at him warily. Stay back. Easy, I'm not going to hurt you, Goten stated, dropping to one knee, pulling out a hoi poi capsule, pushing the plunger and tossing it to the ground in front of him. A second later there was an explosion of smoke, revealing a first aid kit. What's your name? Thu, the girl said, fighting to stay conscious. Please stay away. Hey, if I don't help you to a point you bid you can finish healing, you could still die, the Demi-Saiyan said gently, the girl giving him a disbelieving look. Heh, a friend of mine was a Jinchuriki to the nine tails. Might know him, his name's Naruto Uzumaki. Yike now Naruto-kun. Fu gasped watching as the dark-haired gently cleaning and dressing her two major wounds. Raising an eyebrow at the girl, "Yeah, now let's get you someplace safer. That guy I booted is still pretty much alive." He gently picked her up, lifting off, came to a stop some 12 miles above the area. Fu looked around in awe. "Oh, I can fly because of my Kai. Not completely sure how it works, but I've been doing this since I was 7. Name's Goten's son, by the way." He smiled faintly. The pink-eyed Jinchuriki looked up at him. "Sounded like you like Naruto or something." Fu nodded weakly. "He shares my burden, he's like a brother. Met him after he finished a mission in the hidden waterfall village. Chimay told me he felt the fox's chakra." "Well, as far as I know it's only chakra. The fox was killed the day Naruto was born from inside his seal, by my godmother's husband," Goten explained, looking around the area using his Kai to help Fu accelerate her own healing. "Judging by the time frame, neither you or Naruto knew about that yet." Fu smiled faintly. "Do you do this often? Come in and literally sweep a girl off her feet?" Goten chuckled, wanting to scratch the back of his head. "Actually, this is my first time, so did I do it right?" Fu looked down slowly, feeling like she was getting stronger. "I don't know, this a first for me too, but one part likes it and the other doesn't." "Yeah, I can see why. You're way strong, this might make you feel not so strong," Goten smiled. "Plus you're way pretty." Fu blushed. "So where are we going?" Where do you want to go? I can take you home," the Demi-Saiyan asked. Feeling a pit of lead suddenly start to well up in her stomach at the thought of going back to her lonely cabin outside the hidden waterfall cabin. "No, please don't take me back there, it's too lonely too. Take me to my brother please," her eyes shining, tears at the corner of her eyes. "Sure, Fu, won't your village miss you though?" Goten asked, seeing the girl's eyes cloud with both anger and sadness. "No, they won't, they barely acknowledge me," Fu whispered. The Demi-Saiyan frowned softly, gently running his hand up and down her back in comfort. "Okay, let's go. I'm sure Naruto's parents will be happy to see you. His mom was the previous Nine-Tails Jinchuriki, so she'll be happy to meet you. Plus I can get to see more of you." Fu turned her head to look up at him, giving him a quizzical expression causing him to blush. Goku, Vegeta and Makoto stood across from Naruto, Hinata and Sakura. Two of their expressions were grim, while the third was unreadable. "Now what we're about to do will no doubt be the hardest and most emotionally painful part of your Saiyan training. You've mastered 200 times gravity surprisingly faster than Vegeta had." Goku smiled faintly at the last part. This even had Vegeta smirking a bit in pride. "Naruto, you've pretty much gotten everything I've taught you down. The Kamehameha, Spirit Bomb, Instant Transmission, even my modified version of the Instant Transmission Kamehameha. Which leads me to believe those saps in your academy are even bigger idiots than I first thought," Vegeta growled. "Yeah," Sakura spoke up. "I mean, Naruto-kun, you only needed to be shown those moves 3 or 4 times before you got them." "It was amazing," Hinata simply responded. Naruto blushed at all the praise, rubbing the back of his head, "Not used to so much. If anyone wonders, your Minato and Kushina's son this past month proves it. More proof that you learning the Shadow Clone Jutsu in 3 hours was not a fluke like many of the Jonin believe." Makoto responded, a faint smile on her face, then glancing at her 2 adult companions. "Are you sure this needs to be done? These 3 wish to explore our world after the finals to better protect themselves from whatever unforeseen circumstance," Vegeta explained. As Kakarot explained, this will be emotionally trying, however the benefit will far outweigh the downside. "So what are we doing?" Naruto asked. "Simple, we're going to get the 3 of you to ascend to Super Saiyan," Goku explained. What does that mean exactly?" Hinata asked. "Pain of loss, Makoto will be using her advanced Jinjutsu to put you under something that hopefully transform you," the Saiyan Prince explained. Makoto looked down, her eyes pained. "I'm sorry in advance about what you'll each see. But Tsukiyomi will pull from your worst fears of loss." The 3 teens looked at each other quietly for a second before Naruto turned to his godmother. "Let's do this one at a time. I'll go first." "No, Naruto-kun, let me go first," Sakura stated gently. Naruto glanced at her, looking at her in worry. "You sure?" "Yeah, all 3 of us have had painful pasts, Hinata because of her clan, you because everyone thought you were the 9 tails, and me with the bullying and Sasuke's cruelty, but I think I'll take longer," Sakura stated. "Actually, Sakura, I think you'll go the fastest," Makoto stated, causing the 3 teens to turn to her. "This isn't about your painful past, though it will make things easier for you to visualize. No, this is about pain of loss, what you fear the most about losing. And you only have 2 things you fear losing above all else, your mother, Hinata and Naruto." Sakura suddenly started shivering. The trio mentioned have been her pillars, without them she knew that her life would have no meaning. I see," taking a deep breath. "I'm ready." The Uchiha matriarch smiled softly. "I admire your courage, Sakura." Her eyes morphed first into her Sharingan, spinning wildly before morphing again into her unique Masenkyo Sharingan, which looked Demon Wind Shuriken, which began spinning. "Tsukiyomi." XXQ Anakin's dark deeds from Star Wars Episode 3. Sakura found herself frozen in place, watching first as the preliminary match between Hinata and Neji, only this version was going terribly wrong. The redhead watched her sister wife bleeding profusely from the mouth and gasping out in pain, using her Kai sensing abilities, felt Hinata's Kai rapidly dropping. "It is your fate to die, Lady Hinata, for being weak and useless." Neji charged forward, dipping under Hinata's weakened strike, slamming into her heart. Sakura could almost feel Hinata's heart explode. She watched helplessly as her future sister wife dropped bonelessly to the ground, sadness and rage building. "Hinata!" Sakura screamed, tears falling. The scene changed to that of Hidden Leaf. She spotted her mother speaking jovially with Ino, but Sakura could sense something hovering above the village. Looking up, she spotted a strange gray and purple being, arms crossed, smirking cruelly at the village below. "Frieza," Sakura whispered, her heart in her throat. Looking quickly to the village, "Everyone run." No one heard her as Frieza powered up his death ball. Sakura had just a second to watch her mother and Ino laugh before the entire village erupted into a massive fireball. "Muam, Ino." Rage and despair rose Sakura, clenching and unclenching her hands, tears streaming down her cheeks. Outside the Genjutsu, Naruto, Hinata, Goku, Mikoto, and Vegeta all watched as Sakura was bathed in a purplish light that periodically giving off a golden aura, her hair going from her bright red hair to golden blonde, and her normally jade eyes turning teal. "Almost there," Vegeta whispered. XXX and music. XXX begin Battle of Heroes from Star Wars Episode 3. Sakura tried to wipe her eyes as the burning crater that had been her village dissolved and transformed into a large lake and waterfall, bookended by two large statues of Hashirama Senju and Madara Uchiha. Standing on the head of Madara Uchiha was Sasuke, and atop Hashirama was Naruto, only he was not dressed as he was now, but in his old Kill Me orange jumpsuit, and he had blonde hair. Confused, then the fierce battle began. Naruto leapt to the Madara, throwing punch at Sasuke, who dodged it, punches, dodges, kicks, blocks, kunai thrown. Sakura smiled faintly as Naruto slammed Sasuke through the surface of the lake. Landing a few yards away, summoning several shadow clones, Sasuke broke the surface, glaring coldly at Naruto. Words were spoken, but to the redhead couldn't make them out. Sending all his clones at once, trying to overwhelm the Uchiha, but the Sharingan kept said Uchiha from taking any major damage as the last clone was dispersed, quickly going through a series of hand signs, and a series of chirps were heard. "That's Kakashi Sensei's Chidori," Naruto countered by summoning a shadow clone and quickly activated his Rasengan. The two charged at each other. As soon as the two jutsu collided, a bright flash, followed by the two combatants flying in opposite directions, both backflipping and landing on their feet. Both growling deeply at the other. Sasuke face started getting marred, black markings that seemed to glow menacingly as they cascade over his body, quickly blending together to give his skin a gray texture and giving him wings. Sakura shifted her gaze to Naruto, who was being coated in a red malicious chakra, eyes turning into red slits, his whisker marks becoming more defined and his teeth elongating. Sasuke re-summoned his Chidori, only this version looking far more evil, while Naruto seemed to create a Rasengan using the chakra cloak, turning it from blue to purple. The two charged at each other again, the stronger attacks colliding again, only this time the backlash was 10 times worse. Sasuke, however, was able to come out on top, driving his Chidori covered fist deep into Naruto's heart. Sakura watched helplessly as both were flung back again, Sasuke rendered unconscious, while Naruto slumped to surface of the water, a massive hole in his chest. Naruto weakly turned over, glancing at Sasuke and smirked. "I promised Sakura-chan I'd bring you back, team," he chuckled weakly, his eyes beginning to dull. "Better be good to her, she deserves it, wish it would have been me," he whispered, tears up. "Better love her like I do." Sakura heartbeat seemed to freeze. "No, Naruto, I'm yours, not his." Not realizing it, she ran over to him, grabbing him. "You baka, I never asked you to do this." "Sorry, Sakura-chan," the blonde whispered. No, Sakura's eyes welled up with tears. "Please stay with me, you're supposed to marry me and Hinata, become Hokage. Yeah, you can't do that if you're dead." Love. Sakura heard more than Naruto pass, her eyes closed as overwhelming heart-wrenching pain enveloped her. Naruto. The rage at her helplessness along the sadness of it all was too much, causing the dam to break. A huge explosion in her core spread outward. XXX and music. The illusion vanished, mostly because Mikoto had to be held upright by Vegeta and Goku as Sakura's Super Saiyan transformation took place. Her golden aura exploded across the entire training ground and upward, her head reared back in agony, her once red hair and jade green eyes became blonde and teal. The initial explosion ended, Sakura slumped her head forward, burying her face in her hands, sobbing. She felt two sets of arms embrace her. "It's over, Sakura-chan." Her heart exploded in something else, overwhelming relief. "Hinata and I are here, we're safe," Naruto whispered, pulling her head into his shoulder. "Naruto-kun," Sakura whimpered, sobbing into his shoulder. "I think it would be a good idea to give them a break," Mikoto whispered to the two Saiyans. I don't know what was in that illusion, but it was devastating to Sakura. TCH, fine, we have until the end of the week anyway, Vegeta stated. Naruto, take Sakura home, Mikoto stated softly. Yeah, Naruto smiled a strained smile, picking up his sobbing fiancé bridal style and launched into the air. Then Naruto-kun, maybe we can bring her mom and Ino over, Hinata stated. Sakura smiled faintly, that sounds really good, she sniffled. Chapter 11. Hinata was not completely surprised when Mikoto activated the Tsukiyomi Genjutsu on her and no scenario of death appeared. She wasn't surprised for the simple reason that her mother taught her before her death that death was simply a natural part of life. Her mother stated one should rejoice in the passing of a loved one, that they no longer felt pain, sorrow, or anger, miss them and that they are no longer part of your life, but be happy in that they are forever in a wonderful utopia. Though she held this philosophy, she still despised her father's sperm donor for murdering her mother. As such, she wasn't completely surprised she wasn't witnessing her father's death, Hanabi's death, Naruto and Sakura's death. While she would be sad of their passing, she would simply accept their deaths. However, there was one thing that she wasn't immune to, in fact a small part of her had been living with this since Hanabi had been born. Jealousy, none were immune to it, her sense of jealousy was compacted in 3 simple words, she was second. Her father doted on Hanabi almost since the moment she had been born, more so after her mother died. The Hyuga elders doted on her, while belittling Hinata. Her crush on Naruto had been hampered by her own low confidence and the fact he had a major crush on Sakura. He hadn't noticed her crush on him until Vegeta, Kushina, and Minato allowed their experiences and maturity be absorbed into his mind. Even now she felt like she was still second, even now she felt inadequate, second in all things of her life. This made her angry, nay it made her furious. She was the Hyuga heiress, she shouldn't be second to anyone, and yet she was. She was second in the Hyuga clan because Hanabi had a natural talent in the gentle fist, she herself wasn't, mainly because she was more like her mother. She felt she was second in Naruto's heart, even though deep down she knew she wasn't, that both her and Sakura were equals with Naruto, but she didn't feel like an equal, she felt more like a toss and choice. This enraged her more, she wasn't second fiddle to no one, and to be anything else now that her confidence had skyrocketed both in the eyes of her family and Naruto, she was beside herself in rage because she felt like, I am no longer that shy, weak, timid, little girl. I destroyed that perpetuated image the moment I left the time chamber. I am Naruto-kun's fiancé, his soon-to-be wife. I am the heiress to the Hyuga, princess in all but name. To be anything less, to be second is an insult, and I will not take it any longer. Hinata's aura exploded in a darker golden, her wild page boy-style hair stood straight up, turning blonde. Her Byakugan lavender eyes went white before a teal-green iris appeared in the center of each eye. Her flashing burning with confidence she barely had a month and 3 days ago. Glancing at her instructors and her lovers, she smiled beatifically. I did it. Goku-sensei, I thought you said it had to be pain of loss that triggered the transformation, sounded to me like something really different, Naruto stated. Wounded pride, Vegeta explained. Her transformation was not unlike my own, when Kakarot had achieved his transformation, I thought I could do it like a whim. When it wasn't the case, it wounded my pride as both Saiyan warrior elite and the crowned prince, I became enraged at the injustice of it all to a point where I exploded and transformed. Hinata nodded weakly, I had to dig up all my jealousy and feelings of being second to bring about my rage. It wasn't pleasant and I'm sorry, Sakura-chan. What for? The red-haired girl asked. I had to bring my feelings that I felt you aren't worthy of Naruto-kun, the Hyuga heiress stated sadly. Sakura smiled sadly, walking up and hugging the girl. I don't feel like I deserve him either, Hinata-chan, but Naruto, the noble goof that he is, feels differently. Hey, I'm right here, and for your information, you're both equally worthy in both my eyes and heart. What will it take to convince you another 4-day romp in the bedroom? The whiskered-marked Saiyan asked. 4 days, Mikoto sputtered, eyes dilating. Yeah, probably would be longer, but we had training and stuff to do, Sakura stated, waving her hand. What do you think, Hinata-chan? 2 weeks solid. Please, you're thinking too small, Sakura-chan, Naruto-kun's stamina could easily handle a month, minus breaks for food and water, Hinata smirked evilly as Mikoto collapsed backward, blood leaking from her nose. Vegeta laughed hard, brat, your chosen mates are a riot. Mikoto Abasan. Naruto over to his godmother, gently rocking her. Should really know by now when Sakura and Hinata-chan are messing with you. The Uchiha matriarch sighed, wiping the blood from her nose, they do it because of the years of neglect, you've suffered because Jiraiya-sensei and I weren't there for you. Standing up, dusting herself off, glancing at Naruto's 2 fiancés who both showed they weren't being malicious with their pranks. They were 10 times worse with Jiraiya, and not just with subtle pranks, but physically they held him solely responsible for Naruto's neglect from age 9 months to 6 years. Neither could really hold much of a grudge towards either godparent because neither one of them helped their love during his academy years either. One had been a rabid Uchiha fangirl and the other a timid wallflower. You are the last one, Naruto, are you ready? Yeah, let's do this, Mikoto Abasan. Darkness surrounded him, along with the whispers, terrible whispers telling the orange-haired Saiyan things he heard for the first 13 years of his life. You're a demon, a monster, who'd love you, the first series of whispers stated. You know there's a light that glows by the front door. Don't forget the keys under the mat. Childhood stars shine, always stay humble and kind. Go to church cause your mama says to. Visit grandpa every chance that you can. It won't be wasted time. Always stay humble and kind. Naruto fought down a growl as his anger began building. I've never been a demon, I've never been a monster, I have friends, family, and 2 girls who love me. You're a failure, a loser, stupid, you'll amount to nothing, the whispers responded. You're wrong. Naruto snarled as his body exploded into a whirlwind of energy. Hold the door, say please, say thank you. Don't steal, don't cheat, and don't lie. I know you got mountains to climb but always stay humble and kind. When the dreams you're dreaming come to you. When the work you put in is realized. Let yourself feel the pride but always stay humble and kind. I've worked myself to the bone to prove I'm not a failure, I hold myself to my nindo, I'll make my dream become a reality, the whisker mark Saiyan growled. Don't expect a free ride from no one. Don't hold a grudge or a chip, and here's why. Bitterness keeps you from flying. Always stay humble and kind. Know the difference between sleeping with someone and sleeping with someone you love. I love you ain't no pickup line, so always stay humble and kind. You'll fail, they'll die, you'll be alone, the whispers brought up. I'll defend all that is precious to me, I won't fail, I won't lose. I'll never be alone. Suddenly Naruto's hair turned gold and his eyes turned teal, however the rage in his heart and his yearning to protect those he saw precious pushed the limits. Hold the door, say please, say thank you. Don't steal, don't cheat, and don't lie. I know you got mountains to climb but always stay humble and kind. When those dreams you're dreaming come to you. When the work you put in is realized. Let yourself feel the pride but always stay humble and kind. Everyone watching the transformation had to shield their eyes. He did it, why isn't he stopping? Sakura asked. Whatever is being shown or felt is pushing him. Mikoto had tried to end her genjutsu but it wouldn't end. Is there a level to push? Damn, that Gaki actually wants to push it to Super Saiyan 2, Vegeta glancing at Goku who actually smirked. This was probably the third in Vegeta's recorded memory he actually seen his fellow Saiyan actually smirk. Thoughts Kakarot. I just hope he'd like a spar afterward, it'll be interesting, Goku stated cheerfully. When it's hot, eat a root beer popsicle. Shut off the AC and roll the windows down. Let that summer sun shine. Always stay humble and kind. Don't take for granted the love this life gives you. When you get where you're going. Don't forget turn back around. And help the next one in line. Always stay humble and kind. You're wasting your time, you'll never protect them, you're not strong enough, not like they'll care, they hate you deep down, the whisper said. Shut up, shut up, shut up, stop trying to convince of something that are lies. I don't care if it is a waste of time, I'll train and get stronger, if that doesn't work I'll find another way. But I will not lose, I have everything I've ever wanted short of becoming Hokage. I have my parents back, friends, Sakura-chan, Hinata-chan, Pervy Sage, Mikoto Abasan, I don't care if I die, I'll protect with everything that I am. The area surrounding Naruto began to spark and grow darker. I'm going that what's precious to me, so stop whispering words that mean nothing to me and leave me alone. His energy exploded outward, his golden aura now more instant showing sparks of lightning, his eyes giving off a darker shade of teal, and his now blonde locks of hair wavy in the aura more violently. Gaki actually did it, on his first try, Vegeta looked both stunned with an increasing amount of pride than he did before. Both Sakura and Hinata ran over the moment his aura dropped, catching before he dropped to the ground. Baka, just had to overdo it, the red-haired Saiyan smiled softly at her lover. Sorry Sakura-chan, Naruto whispered only for the red-haired girl to sigh, kissing his cheek. You wouldn't be you if you didn't go all out, Naruto-kun, Sakura whispered seeing her future sister-wife smile and nod. Come on, Hinata-chan and I will take you home, the finals are tomorrow and you need rest. Mikoto wiped some blood from her eyes, wincing as some of her sight diminished. Both Vegeta and Goku looked at her, one in concern and the other simply raised his eyebrow. Using my Magenkyo Sharingan is a double-edged sword, gives me a lot of power, but at the cost of my eyesight, the Uchiha matriarch explained. How many times can you use it before you become completely blind, Goku asked. Depending on the length of time I use them, could be as soon as my next major fight, Mikoto said softly. There is only one way that I know to prevent it. I would need to transplant the eyes of another Magenkyo Sharingan user into mine, and the only one I know who has one. I'd sooner kill myself than do that. Your eldest son, Vegeta stated, getting a nod. We used the Dragon Balls in our world less than a year ago. If you can refrain from using this Magenkyo Sharingan, we could restore them and grant you benefit of using them without the downside. If however you used them and you lost your eyesight, the dragon might not be to restore them. I will try, but the underlying truth behind the finals tomorrow may force me to use it, Mikoto said softly. I hope I never have to use the Magenkyo Sharingan from my son as replacements for my eyes. No parent ever wants to harm their children. Sasuke Uchiha gritted his teeth. This had been the fourth date he had been on, and it annoyed him. When he wasn't training with Kakashi, though said training had been rather limiting in his mind. Mostly it was just speed training, so he fast enough to avoid Gaara's sand with some mild taijutsu brush-ups. He finished evolving his Sharingan to the 3 Tama marks, so now he was eager to test out the copy wheel's full effect and managed it slightly when he watched Kakashi train alone. That Chidori will prove useful in the future. The only thing left for me to achieve is the Magenkyo Sharingan, which is why I'm enduring this annoying fangirl for the last 4 weeks. Ami had been one of his staunchest fangirls since before the massacre and also his most ideal target for the what Itachi explained. On some level he was a bit sad about what he was going to do. If she actually managed to complete her training, she would have made a decent shinobi. Sadly that had to end. So what you want to do next, Sasuke-kun? The purple-haired girl asked brightly. They had stopped at a rather remote training ground deep down. She hoped the two of them would get to 2nd base thanks to all the seclusion. Sasuke looked at her with his traditional indifference, stepping closer to her. Well, I can't say the last 4 weeks haven't been interesting. It has been some of the best of my life, Ami smiled lovingly. Really? Then can you help me with something? The male Uchiha asked. Ami nods. Oh, of course Sasuke-kun, I'll gladly help you with anything. The purple-haired had let her training slip over the last year, focusing more on her looks, so she completely missed Sasuke bringing out the kunai or the sudden upward motion of his arm as he proceeded to bury the kunai up through her diaphragm and into her heart, her eyes widen in shock and betrayal. Sasuke watched the life of the girl leave her eyes. He did indeed feel remorse. This girl as pathetic as she was loved him. Thank you. Chapter 12. Naruto groaned sitting up, scratching his head, looking down at his 2 angels and smiled faintly. Both had taken to wearing matching sleepwear except changing the colors. Hinata and Sakura wore cotton pajama-style tank tops and shorts after their initial mating session. Hinata wore a beige top and dark blue shorts, while Sakura chose a red top with black shorts. Needless to say, Naruto felt the assemble fit each girl in their own way. Both clutched at his chest in their sleep, Hinata taking her spot traditionally on his right with Sakura on his left. Looking at the alarm clock, noting he had 3 hours before the finals began, and reflected on the past month. His training with Vegeta and Goku had been rigorous and taxing to the point of him passing out at the end of each day, not mention his training in the time chamber. He also appreciated his parents even more now after undergoing their initial training. Minato helped him learn and master the Rasengan, even began teaching him how to incorporate his elemental affinity into the move. He also went through the Horatian seal work down the smallest detail, finding himself enjoying seals. Which brought him to his mother, who by all accounts he inherited his personality, love of ramen, verbal tics, and temper from. She gave him the nurturing, confidence, and warmth he missed so much in his life. It easily made up for the first 13 years of his life. She also taught him her taijutsu style, helped master his darker personality, and helped bring out the Biju chakra cloak he got from absorbing the fox's chakra. Of course, without the Biju present he couldn't make it stronger. Not like he really needed it. The Super Saiyan and Super Saiyan 2 transformations overshadowed the Biju cloak, but he wondered if he could combine them with enough practice and training. Lastly, his mother taught him the Uzumaki clan's true stock and trade, seals. A full year in the time chamber was devoted to the art of sealing, and boy, did he find his real calling in the shinobi arts. Everything his mother taught him was absorbed with gusto, and he came back asking for more. This prompted his mother to gush excitedly at her son's eagerness, and the two bonded even more, getting as close as a mother and child could. He also got a rather lewd breakdown on the birds and the bees a good 2 weeks after the fact. He personally thought it was a good way for his mother to prank him. Makoto had him endure far more basic shinobi tactics, like stealth, chakra suppression, as well as teaching him some more A-S class jutsu, including her infamous blood clone. They tried to scale the jutsu back to B and C class, but those wavered inside of his abyssal chakra control, which was even without the fox shitty as all hell. Then came arguably the hardest part, the Super Saiyan transformation. Sakura's was by far the most traumatic, having her go through mentally losing Hinata, her mother, Ino, and himself. He asked about her father, which she stated the image was traumatic enough without adding him to the mix. Kushina cracked open her son's bedroom door, smiling faintly at what she saw, Naruto sandwiched between the two girls that won his heart. Granted, all three had their first times together after some rather intense training sessions. Vegeta stated that their Saiyan blood stirred so much after training that the urge to mate was simply too strong. He also said that Saiyan mating bonds grow extremely strong. When she asked why Goku was so unusual, the Saiyan prince pointed out the fact the naive hero had severe head trauma that essentially erased his memories and his initial programming. He was the odd duck of the Saiyan race, yet in a sense to the prince, he's like his mother in that regard, Vegeta stated. Why did you know her? Kushina asked. By reputation only, she resigned from the invasion corps after getting rescued one too many times by her future husband Bardock, became a glorified cook, the Saiyan prince explained. So you think Goku went to some sort of backup programming when he conked his head, one he inherited from his mom? The Uzumaki matriarch asked. He inherited his gentleness and survivability from his mother, while getting his fighting potential from his father, the Saiyan prince stated. Sounds like Naruto-kun, Kushina squealed. Naruto, you up? Kushina asked. Yeah, waiting for Sakura-chan and Hinata-chan to wake up, Naruto whispered, smiling softly as both girls snuggled even closer to him, Hinata whimpering cutely. We were already awake, Hinata replied. Just too warm and perfect to get up. What she said, Sakura grumbled, eyes opening. Kushina giggled, well, can't lie in bed today, Naruto-kun has his finals to get to. You girls are going to have to relinquish him to get dressed, get fed, and get ready. He's not going to pull a Kakashi. Sakura made a face, that's actually a thing, Kakashi has being late down so pat that it's considered a term for being late. Kushina just shrugged, only to those that know him, which considering everyone in the village does, I guess it's universally accepted. The whiskered marked Saiyan snickered, and what did we do when he showed early on mission? Wanted to check his head for a fever, Sakura snorted. The Hyuga Saiyan giggled, wow, I heard from Kurenai-sensei about his chronic tardiness, but I didn't think it was true. Very true, Hinata-chan, Naruto grunted sitting up. XXX Dragon Ball Universe, Time Nest, less than a year ago, Xenoverse timeline, the now famous Time Patroller defeated and destroyed the Demon Lord Demigra. Since then he has been chasing the younger sister of Deborah, Towa, across time. The most recent fight was basically having to stop her from interfering with Gohan's run-in with Bojack. During the course of that fight he wondered where the Eternal Dragon pulled him from. The only Saiyans alive currently was Goku and his family, Vegeta and his family. Trunks stated his father died before he had any other children in his timeline, as for the alternate timeline only Goku, Gohan, Vegeta, Trunks, Goten, Pan, and Bra who will be born soon. Krona, I know this would sound odd, but what timeline did the Eternal Dragon pull me from? I don't remember anything from before I appeared here in the Time Nest. Why do you ask? The Supreme Kai of Time asked, looking up from a time scroll. Regardless of how powerful the Eternal Dragon is, you don't just conjure up a Saiyan from the ether. Was I a part of the Saiyans from the distant past, or am I from an alternate timeline where planet Vegeta was never destroyed? The Time Patroller asked. I'm outside time now, so telling me won't affect the outcome of my birth. I did a check while Trunks had you stop Raditz, Krona stated softly. Ironically, you can thank Vegeta for your birth, Nagato. You're the son of Naruto Uzumaki and Sakura Uzumaki. You have a baby sister, and you have twin half-sisters from your mother's co-wife Hinata Namikaze. You mean from the major timeline shift that happened a month ago? I was kind of worried about that, Nagato stated. Krona sighed, scratching the back of her head. I didn't realize by making that wish I altered the timeline. In the original timeline Naruto went on to become the 7th Hokage, married Hinata only having 2 children, while Sakura lived a really forgetful lonely life, with Sasuke Uchiha bearing only 1 child. But how badly is his timeline altered? Nagato asked. The Akatsuki, his main threat, will be destroyed, can't tell you how, but it happens soon. Orochimaru, the secondary threat, is killed today by your grandparents and your great-aunt, the Supreme Kai of Time sighed heavily. What about Towa? She altered her attack pattern slightly. She's completely avoiding the timeline when Gohan fights her brother like the plague though. She's tried to use Bojack, Broly's first encounter with Goku and company, Android 13, and Bio Broly. I'm beginning to think she has major crush on Broly, Nagato smirked. Well, considering he's a 12-foot tall mountain of muscle, what girl wouldn't want to tap that? The only major turn-off is his insanity, Krona snickered. Nagato Uzumaki raised an eyebrow at his employer, seriously, he blinked, turning and spotted a time scroll giving off the dark energy. Walking over and opening it. Krona, looks like Towa's at it again, this time she's focusing on Jine, his eyes widen at what he saw. In the original timeline what happened to her? She was destroyed with planet Vegeta, why? Krona asked, walking up and peering down at what was shown. What she saw confused her. Several of Frieza's men were standing between a space pod and Goku's mother. How long has this timeline been altered? I'm thinking since before you made the wish, Nagato stated. Have I spent so much time focusing on the current timeline I've overlooked older ones? She paused a moment, rolling up the scroll, handing it to the Uzumaki patroller. Fix this timeline, and while you're doing that I'm going to go looking through the older ones. She turned to the door. Trunks, get your butt in here. The purple-haired young man ran looking nervous. What's the matter? Pull every scroll from earlier time periods, revolving around your grandparents' era. I want them picked over with a fine-toothed comb. I completely missed the fact that Giant was supposed to leave Vegeta shortly before it blew up, and I want to make sure that is the only deviation, Cronus stated. Who's Giant? Trunks asked. Gohan's grandmother on his father's side, the Supreme Kai of Time elaborated. Goku's mother. Trunks looked shocked for a second before running into the vault, floating up to pull scrolls from that time period. Better get going, though I have no idea how it'll affect the current timeline. Nagato saluted and vanished into time. What do you think will be the outcome? Trunks asked. I don't know, this has gone on since Goku has been an infant. Time once repaired will figure itself out, I hope, Cronus said, worry lacing her voice. Ladies and gentlemen, good afternoon and welcome to opening round for the Chunin final exams. Minato Namikaze smiled, listening to the crowd cheering. As you know, it has been customary for these exams to promote a wartime feel in peaceful eras. While Minato went through his opening speech, his son stood on the parade ground, arms crossed, dressed in a more battle-friendly attire than he had during the month-long training regime. Black Jonin-style pants, dark red Jonin shirt, black flak jacket, and a long black hooded cloak with orange flames surging up from the bottom of the hem. His headband tied to his forehead. He glanced at his teammate, looking at the Uchiha's smug expression. What's with you, finally managed to get laid this month? Temari and Kankuro snickered slightly. Shikamaru grunted, looking annoyed, but to Naruto that was par for the course with the lazy Nara. Shino's only expression was to raise an eyebrow, while Neji and Gaara remained stone-faced. Troublesome, came Shikamaru's reply. Keeping your eyes open is troublesome for you, Shika, Naruto chuckled. The lazy Nara grumbled, whatever. Sasuke meanwhile sneered, turning to Naruto. I've managed to evolve my Sharingan this month, activating his Sharingan, revealing the 3 Tama marks. Well, good for you, didn't remove your shitty attitude though. In comparison, the stick in Neji's ass has a better attitude than you, Naruto smiled slyly. Neji snarled, I don't care whose son you are, you're still a failure and are fated to lose. I got permission from your uncle to rip that stick in your ass out and beat you over the head with it. Like I said to Kiba before I handed him his ass, you won't lay a hand on me. Naruto's eyes flashed teal, and his orange-colored hair flashed blonde. HMPH, was Neji's only reply. Temari smirked slightly, is it me or is that guy getting hotter each time I see him, she whispered to her brother. I'm a guy so I wouldn't know, Kankuro stated. In the stand, Sakura and Hinata were greeted by Trunks with Tenten. Wow, this kind of reminds me of the world martial arts tourney I took part in. Why, because of the big crowd? Tenten asked. Add in the fact Naruto is going to breeze through each round, the highest power level I'm sensing is that Gar guy, and he's about Nappa's base strength when he came to Earth with Dad, Trunks explained. That's because he has a Biju sealed inside him, a voice stated from Trunks' left. Turning, the small group saw Goten and Fu walking up. Yo, Goten raised his hand, a huge smile on his face. Sakura snorted at the Kakashi reference. What? Sounded like my sensei for a second there, Sakura explained. Pleased to finally meet you, Fu, Auntie Kushina said. You've been adjusting well to the new village, Hinata said cheerfully. Yes, Fu is happy here, more so with Goten-kun. She looked down at the participants of the finals. Shame your dad isn't here, Goten-kun. Training for the next fight as usual, though he is taking it easier, Goten noticed Trunks giving him a worried stare. For him anyway, instead of training every day, he takes one day off to spend with mom. He said eventually he plans to start taking 2 days off from training. Trunks crossed his arms over his chest, watching as all the Chunin exam finalists leave the arena minus Naruto and Neji. About time this thing got started. I can't believe there's a room in your world that lets you get a year's worth of training in a day, Tenten whispered, looking at the Demi-Saiyan. Well, according to Dad, it was the only way to get Naruto fully trained up with everyone he wanted to learn from, Trunks explained. Tenten and company turned to watch as Neji slid into his gentle fist stance, while Naruto simply stood across from the Hyuga prodigy, his arms crossed over his chest, looking bored. Looks like he's got your dad's mannerisms down, Trunks, Goten snickered. Yeah, one of the side effects of the power transfer, Trunks snorted. XXX, Dragon Ball Universe, deep in the depths of space, something began to churn and sputter as space literally ripped open, causing a single space pod to be spat out. No sooner had this pod broke free of this distortion, it rocketed toward a series of coordinates that had been pre-programmed into the ship's computer. The reason for the time distortion, a time patroller by the name of Nagato Uzumaki had repaired a latent disruption in the time stream, and time itself brought this pod forward, sending its sole occupant towards her long-awaited reunion with her family. Chapter 13. Naruto stood across from Neji, outwardly looking bored, but internally he was trying to judge how much he should drag out the match. This was for a promotion after all. He was judging Neji's stance, posture, current power levels, everything right down to how the other boy's hair was moving in the wind. However, he also had to take into account the probable invasion. As such, he needed to be at full strength in case he needed to fight. All in all, speed was the key, and with his training with Vegeta, Goku, and his own father, he had plenty in spades. The moment Genma dropped his hand to let the match begin, Naruto vanished from his spot, catching everyone in the arena off guard minus Hinata, Sakura, Trunks, and Goten. Even his parents and his aunt Mikoto, who knew of his training, had been caught off guard. Neji barely had time to turn around before Naruto slammed a backhand into the Hyuga's face, sending flying. As the Neji flew, he felt something grab his ankle. Looking down, grimacing in pain, his eyes widen, seeing Naruto suddenly jerk him downward, cocking his fist and slamming it into Neji's jaw, causing him to crash into ground below. Naruto dropped to the sliding a bit before turning and noting the Hyuga wasn't moving. Concerned, he ran up and checked the Neji's vitals. Pretty birds, Neji's muttered, eyes swirling, seeing cages and birds flying around his head. Naruto rubbed the back of his head, looking sheepish. Proctor, looks like I knocked Neji, stupid. Genma glanced at Neji, seeing the boy was incapacitated. Yeah, winner. Naruto Uzumaki. A stretched was rolled up, and two medics put the Hyuga prodigy on it, then rolling him out. Naruto simply used his instant transmission to teleport back to the staging, causing everyone minus Gaara and Shino to take a step back. Sasuke glared coldly. He did nothing, it was all just pure speed, minimum effort. How strong is he? How fast? I couldn't track him, he was so fast. Will Sasuke, Uchiha and Gaara of the desert come to the arena? Genma announced. The Uchiha sneered, stepping forward. I forfeit. Orochimaru snarled discreetly in his disguised, blast that brat. Minato glanced at his wife, then looked behind him at Mikoto. He's going to run the moment the invasion starts, he signed subtly. Let Naruto take care of it, Mikoto. Kushina quickly signed. He's my son, I failed him, it's my responsibility to take care of it, Mikoto signed back. Please, Kushina begged. It's our responsibility too, he's part of the family, it'll be hard enough as is. Mikoto glanced down at her estranged son, then at Naruto, who was glancing in Sasuke's direction before looking directly at her. Closing her eyes, fighting tears that were welling up. She realized in that moment her youngest child was a lost cause. Madness, anger, and hatred had consumed him. The loving boy he was had indeed died the night of the massacre. Opening her eyes, focusing on her future stepson and godson, she made a slitting cutthroat motion. All she received was a grim nod before Naruto focused on the next match between Shino and Kankuro, only for Kankuro to forfeit. You forfeit your match, Shikamaru, I'll tell your mom, Naruto stated, glancing at the lazy Nara, who grumbled about troublesome blondes, forgetting Naruto had orange hair. Nice one, Shika, now you pissed off your opponent, the whiskered Mark Saiyan smirked. Shikamaru looked over at Temari, seeing her glare at him. Go easy on him, he's a lazy idiot. Temari snorted. No promises. XXX, Dragon Ball Universe, cue moves like Jagger as background music from a radio. Goku was currently doing some one-handed push-ups vertically while balancing Pan in his free hand and Kai sitting on his feet counting out for her husband. Pan was wiggling to the music while giggling madly. Goku himself was chuckling at his granddaughter, absolutely adoring how close his family was getting at this moment. Not far off, Gohan and Videl were talking quietly among themselves, and judging by Videl's blush, the two were probably discussing having a second child. About midway through his 1050 rep, he felt it. A power level registering roughly at 2000, so it wasn't much of a concern, but its direction was, coming from space, usually meant an invasion of some kind. With a sigh, Kai, I need to get up, the Ox Princess looked down at her husband before she herself felt the power level looking up and gave a groan. What idiot would be suicidal enough to come here? Gohan asked, speaking up, also looking to the sky as Kai jumped down. Wait, that power level isn't dark, if anything it almost feels like you, Dad. Goku gauged it again and nodded, taking a deep breath in relief. Thank Den for that, he whispered. Taking a life had always heavily on him, though he did it to preserve the earth and protect those that are precious to him, namely his family and friends. It was one of the many things he and Naruto shared across dimensions. They both fought for something worthwhile. Judging by the rate of descent, it'll land just outside West City. I'm sure Vegeta will be there ahead of us. Gohan, Videl, both grabbed Goku's shoulder for instant transmission, and just before they teleported, Kai picked up Pan and touched Gohan's shoulder. The Sun family vanished from their home a second later. Vegeta stood quietly in an open field, arms crossed, gauging the rapid approaching power level, wondering who it could be. At first he thought it was his younger brother, but it gave a feminine feel. The only female Saiyan that had been off-planet when it was destroyed had been Fasha, one of Bardock's crewmates, but Dodoria had reported to Frieza she, along with the rest of Bardock's crew, had been killed. Even then Fasha's power level was at least in the 8,000 range, on par with Nappa at his base power. That should have sent up red flags in the elite corps immediately if a group of third class could reach those power levels, and Bardock had reached 10,000 at the time. I can only imagine what kind of power level he would have had today. A second later he felt Goku and his entire family pop up behind him. It should be any time now. Who do you think it is? Gohan asked. It's a Saiyan. That much I do know, however I know only of myself, Raditz, Nappa, your father, and my brother that made it off-world. The only other group that had been off-planet when it was destroyed was your grandfather's group, and they had been killed by Dodoria, Vegeta explained. Bardock, Goku whispered softly, feeling an echo in his mind. I wonder. Quickly a space pod appeared in atmosphere, rocketing down and crashing barely 100 yards from the gathered group. Vegeta and Goku floated over to the pod and landed in the crater the pod created. Vegeta looked inside and spotted a woman he didn't recognize but could easily identify the third-class Saiyan armor. The woman was pretty, but it was her facial structure that gave the prince pause. He reached over and pulled the emergency pin that vented the animated suspension gas. He stepped back, motioning Goku to do the same. The gas expelled and the door to the pod opened. Looking in, both Saiyans watched the woman begin to stir. She squinted her eyes, looking up, her eyes widened seeing Goku. Bardock. No, this is Kakarot, Vegeta stated. The woman focused on him and her eyes widened before bowing her head. The Prince Vegeta. The woman said, startled, then her head shot as Vegeta's words registered. She slowly climbed out of her pod, standing in front of a very confused Goku as she gently reached up, cupping the man's cheek. You've grown up so much. I barely had an hour to hold you before you were shipped off. It seemed no matter what I did or how much I protested, they took you away from me. Her eyes watered. That bastard Frieza took my baby son away from me, she cried. Both Vegeta's and Goku's eyes widened at this. You're Kakarot's mother. The woman nodded, looking up at her son sadly. I tried to fight you being sent off. Then when Bardock warned me about Frieza coming to destroy the planet, I immediately went for a space pod. She paused, debating about telling about the time patroller helping her get into the pod. I set the coordinates for Earth after a small issue involving Frieza's men and a man from the future. Orange hair, green eyes, wearing black, orange, and red. Goku asked, getting a nod from his mother. Time patroller, he was there to correct a rip in time. That means she should have followed me here. Vegeta gritted his teeth. Supreme Kai of Time's pet patroller. Who is that kid? His power is twice what Gohan's was when he fought Cell. Gohan. Goku's mother looked confused. Goku blushed, rubbing the back of his head. I'm married and have 2 kids and 1 granddaughter. Goku's mother's eyes shined brightly. I have grandbabies. The resulting squeal was heard from the rest of the gathered Sun family, who quickly went down to see the newcomer. Gohan was the first to approach. Dad, Vegeta, what's going on? Vegeta turned, looking mildly annoyed. This Saiyan is your grandmother. You can call me Grandma Jine, the woman said jovially, her monkey-like tail doing a corkscrew. After that, introductions were made with the remainder of the Sun family. XXX, Naruto's world. Shikamaru raised his hand in defeat after both he and Temari had a match of strategy and counter-strategy that been for the ages, more so because of Temari's jutsu had more range. In the end, Shikamaru managed to distract the wind user enough to get her caught in his shadow possession jutsu. However, the fight had drained the Nara significantly of chakra. Will Naruto, Uzumaki and Gaara of the desert come down to start the first semi-final match? Naruto appeared first in his instant transmission, turning to look up at his parents, who gave him both nods, signaling they're ready to start a counter-offensive against Orochimaru. Gaara appeared in his Sand Shunshin, arms crossed. You will prove my existence, Uzumaki. However, Naruto wasn't paying attention too much, focusing on his orders before turning back to the Sand Jinchuriki. Sorry Gaara, but today isn't the day for you, powering up, causing the entire area to darken and spark, gathering power, before he vanished from his spot just as Genma started the match. A second later, Naruto appeared in front of Gaara, burying his fist into the Sand Shinobi's stomach before slapping a suppression and neutralizing seal on Gaara's forehead. Gaara is unable to battle, winner Naruto Uzumaki. Both Temari and Kankuro's eyes were wide. No one had ever been able to cause an injury, much less beat him, but to do so in 2 moves was simply unheard of. Naruto grabbed Gaara, leaping to the contestant booth. If you don't want to be a part of this invasion, follow my clone. Naruto quickly summoned a shadow clone. What you know about the invasion? Kankuro asked. We've known about it since the second task. Met a member of the Uzumaki clan in the forest. She was also a part of Orochimaru's intelligence gathering team during these exams. She gave us everything, Naruto stated calmly. My parents are even offering to fix Gaara's seal and get him counseling for the emotional traumas he's suffered. Damari looked at her brother on Naruto's shoulder before looking down at the floor. Why? My mother was a Jinchuriki of the Nine Tails, heck I was Jinchuriki for 13 years, Naruto paused. Can't tell you how I stopped being a Jinchuriki without dying, as it's classified, but the two of us know what he's gone through. Damari's eyes started flooding with tears, please if you can help my brother Naruto held up his hand, already planning to, now let's get you and your two brothers to safety, then I got a certain Uchiha to deal with, he stated ominously causing everyone to turn to find Sasuke had vanished. Shikamaru get ready, no sooner the words had left Naruto's mouth, the arena started to be cascaded in feathers. Jinjutsu, he whispered looking over at the stands as sound and sand ninjas started appearing from under disguises. Get going, Shino find your clan outside the arena and have them join Jiraiya, need them to suppress snake summoners outside the walls, Shino nodded as Naruto turned to Shikamaru. Shika, need you and your team to help with evacuating civilians before they start becoming human shields. Troublesome, I'm already on it, any other orders you want to give? Shikamaru raised an eyebrow. Yeah, smile more, Naruto smiled at his cheek before launching into the air, focusing his senses on Sasuke. Asshole just broke Makoto Abisan's heart and I'm going to take it out of his said ass. Trunks slammed his fist into a sound shinobi sending his brains into the next world, along with the rest of him, interesting follow update, Tenten-chan, the purple-haired demi-Saiyan quipped. Well I like to keep things spicy, wouldn't want you get bored with me, Tenten replied. Trunks glanced at her giving a faint smile, not going to happen there. Goten kicked one sand shinobi ducking another coming in behind him, only for that attacker to get sent flying by a water dragon jutsu used by Fu, who jumped back avoiding a kunai strike to her back, the followed was stopped by Goten firing off a kai blast, vaporizing the offending shinobi. Well can't say Naruto's world isn't lacking for fights, this place is awesome for that. Fu is loving this village, have mom and dad, a brother and two future sisters, give up all 14 previous years to do this again, the seven-tailed Jinchuriki replied. Fight's good too, she giggled sending another sound shinobi flying with a back kick. Hinata slammed a gentle fist strike into a sound shinobi's heart, causing it to explode, before ducking under a kunai slash from behind, rolling her hips with a duck to bring her foot up, slamming into the other shinobi's chin, knocking him flying, that's 15, she said smugly. Sakura growled doing a spinning kick nailing one sand shinobi and two sound shinobi, you're not beating me, cha. She powered up and went flying crashing her fists, feet and even her head into any invading shinobi in her path, 21. Eat that. 24, Hinata said casually letting loose a smirk. Growling even more Sakura slowly turned her head toward 15 sand and sound shinobi, her eyes wide in rage and fist clench, you guys are going to be my bitch. Cha. Kakashi sighed looking at Hinata, I counted Hinata you only have 21, why are you riling her up? Hinata giggled, it's kind of fun, and Naruto-kun was right she looks really sexy when she's angry, and it's directed at someone who deserves it. Wow Hinata did you actually prank someone, Ino said, looking at the normally reserved Hyuga in awe. The Hyuga Saiyan's eyes widened, I did. Yep, Kiba stated smirking at his teammate, pretty sure Naruto would be proud. Hinata's smile turned brighter slamming an open palm strike into a sand shinobi. Kushina and Makoto smirked, one had her arms crossed, while the other had hers on her hips looking at the snake Saiyan. Minato was holding his two signature tri-pronged kunai in each hand, keeping his face neutral. How? Orochimaru growled watching the two coffins he tried to use to summon the first and second Hokage, only for Kushina to use seal tags to prevent the coffins from opening, and then Makoto activated her Amaterasu to burn the coffins to ash. For all your genius Orochimaru, Minato sighed sadly. You overlook a lot because of your narrow-mindedness, he glanced to Orochimaru's left and smiled faintly. Isn't that right Taiya Uzumaki? Orochimaru's eyes widen in shock, spinning around to stare at his former subordinate, who dropped the Jinjutsu on her left shoulder, revealing her Heaven's Curse seal had been removed, her normally brown eyes now replaced with dark violet eyes. He then turned back to his opponents feeling the fear grip his very soul. There was a reason why Minato had earned his flee on-sight declaration from the Hidden Stone, and even the Sannin respected that, which was why he stayed well clear of the village when Minato had been Hokage the first time. He recently dismissed the Fourth's return as a very elaborate Jinjutsu designed to fool the public at large. But somehow Minato and Kushina had cheated death. I don't understand how are you alive? You can thank yourself, actually, Kushina snickered. When you used that 5-pronged seal on Naruto you pulled him into his mind space and met someone from another dimension. And that dimension has a group of powerful artifacts called Dragon Balls, they can give those that gather all 2 wishes that are within the boundaries of the dragon's power to grant. That could be anything, including immortality, and have knowledge of all jutsus in the world. Orochimaru's inner monologue was halted when he felt unimaginable pain. He looked down seeing Minato buried his trademark jutsu deep into gut, while the 2 women had grabbed his arms holding him in place. Mikoto's Magenkyo Sharingan spinning wildly, holding him in place mentally as the Rasengan began tearing apart his body. Stop, you fool. As fourth Hokage of the Hidden Leaf Village, I have found you guilty of treason and crimes against humanity. Your sentence is death. Goodbye, Orochimaru, Minato said, firmly pressing the Rasengan deeper. Orochimaru's body lost all cohesion, ripping to pieces in blood and gore, splattering all across the roof. Mikoto winced, her eyes dulling as she deactivated her eyes. Damn it, she whispered. How bad? Minato asked, concerned. Everything is a blur now. I think it's finally happened, Mikoto said sadly. Kushina looked down sadly, and the Dragon Balls were used recently, so does that mean we won't be able to restore them? Minato turned to his wife and his future wife. There is one chance, but it'll be hard. Sasuke, the Uchiha matriarch stated. Chapter 14. Sasuke moved swiftly, heading east. He knew the invasion would be put down swiftly, especially with Minato Namikaze as Hokage. So he had a small finite window to make his way toward the eastern border, and once crossed he planned to head north into Stone Country. He figured the hidden stone village would openly embrace him if he offered himself and his Keki Genkai. He also heard rumors that the third Tsuchikage had a granddaughter. As such, he felt it only natural to choose said granddaughter to help establish the Uchiha clan in the hidden stone. Before the Uchiha could make another running step, found Naruto drop literally from out of the sky, landing in front of him. Loser, he stated coolly. The goddess school emo bitch, Naruto smirked, patting down his pockets, and Sasuke looked at him questioningly. It's time to kick ass or chew bubble gum, and I'm all out of gum. You can't defeat me, Sasuke glared, activating his Sharingan. Didn't come here to defeat you, Naruto's eye narrowed and hardened. You've been named a missing nin, and with a major Keki Genkai that could be used against the Hidden Leaf as such, the fourth Hokage stated, you are to be executed the moment you are found. Sasuke immediately activated his Magenkyo Sharingan, as if you could. Naruto simply raised his hand, aiming it at Sasuke's chest. I'm sorry, Sasuke, we are brothers not in name, but in pain. Before Sasuke could even comprehend and react what that meant, a large energy blast erupted from Naruto's hand, going straight through the Uchiha's torso. Sasuke dropped to the ground, eyes returned to normal and dulled as death quickly took. You died alone and disgraced. If you had simply let go of your anger and hatred, you would have been so much happier, the orange-haired Saiyan stated to the corpse. Pulling out a tanto and a scroll, he dropped to one knee, severing the head and placing it on the scroll, before sealing it into the storage scroll to preserve it. He then went about destroying the rest of the body. Minato and Kushina were helping Mikoto out of the arena, the last Uchiha matriarch burdened down at the thought of losing her youngest son, mostly at his own sense of greed and lust for power, something she felt she could have prevented if she actually been in his life. I failed him, she whispered softly. He gave into the Uchiha madness, Miko-chan, nothing you could do about that. He was like his father in many ways, including his love for power. Itachi-kun loved his village and you loved your family for the most part, Kushina stated. My love for my family only extended to my sons, you, Naruto, Minato-kun, his students, and mine. I could give two shits about my clan, Mikoto explained. Minato chuckled slightly. Sometimes Mikoto, clan isn't family. Kushina-chan and Jiraiya-sensei can safely state that the Uzumaki clan had more love of family than a single member of 10 other clans. Kushina puffed her chest out proudly. The Uzumaki clan was just awesome like that, you know. Mikoto giggled softly. Thank you both. Everything around her was a dark blur. Well, her eyesight wasn't completely gone, it might as well be. Let's get you home, you're in a really vulnerable state right now, Minato whispered. XX, a day after the invasion, sitting quietly in the Hokage chair going over the hundreds of after-action reports with the liberal use of a shadow clone for added aid, he stared periodically at a particular scroll sitting on his desk that contained the sealed head of his soon-to-be stepson. He frowned slightly before going back to his reports, chuckling slightly at one of Kakashi's reports about the impromptu body count contest between his future daughter-in-laws. And a parent masterfully pulled prank by Hinata on her future co-wife. It works so well mostly because one would think a Hyuga is incapable of pulling a prank. My son's influence is strong in his future wives. A knock on the door prompted him to stop his inner dialogue when Naruto, Shikamaru, Temari, and Jiraiya entered. He pulled out 3 folded Chunin vests, 2 forest green, 1 dusty brown, and placed them on the front of his desk away from his current paperwork. Naruto Uzumaki, Shikamaru Nara, and Temari of the desert, I present you with your Chunin vests in acknowledgement of you passing the Chunin exams. He paused, looking at Temari. Normally your village's Kage would be the one to present you with your vest, but with your Kage's death and no current successor announced to fill the role, it falls to the Kage of an allied nation or your current daimyo to present you with a vest. However, your current daimyo is under investigation for possible bribery. As such, the yellow flash scratched the back of his head much like his son does when things either annoy or confuse him. I got to say, your country is all kinds of messed up right now. How is your brother? Damari tried to keep a smile off her face when the fourth Hokage stated her country was currently in the crapper and his concern for her youngest brother. He's doing fine, Lady Kushina, and Lord Jiraiya strengthened his seal enough to allow him to finally sleep, and Lady Kushina has taken to talking about her experiences as Jinchuriki to help him cope. She then glanced at Naruto. Naruto extended a hand of friendship. Gaara is a little stunned right now. Minato chuckled, I can imagine, being in the world of the Uzumaki clan is both a bit scary but can be a wonderful place. Jiraiya rolled his eyes, scary is putting it lightly, getting a raised eyebrow from his godson. Shikamaru sighed, troublesome. At any rate both you and Shikamaru are dismissed. Minato watched as the Sand Kunoichi and the Nara left the office before turning to his son and sensei. Now, I have a mission for you too. The hospital has seen better days and our Medic-Nin program is shoddy at best and nearly non-existent at worst. So I'm ordering you both along with Kushina to find and bring back Princess Tsunade. Jiraiya sweated for a second, can I bring back Orochimaru to fight, less painful? The fourth Hokage smirked at his sensei, I wouldn't think you'd be afraid of a woman you've drooled over since you were in your teens, sensei. Afraid no, terrified yes, Jiraiya stated. The woman can punch through solid granite, kid. And doesn't like my preferences one bit. Then maybe you should lay off being pervy sage. Naruto spoke up looking at his vest and grumbled slightly, hey dad, is there any way to dye these vests? No orange, Naruto, Minato stated sternly. Nah, I was thinking black or a dark blue, planned one wearing a burnt orange colored long-sleeved shirt underneath to make it really stand out, Naruto explained. Both Minato and Jiraiya blinked looking at the boy before the yellow flash smiled, sure, most ninja supply stores do have dyes for vests during peacetime, however you need to keep one vest the standard forest green in case a war does come up. Naruto nodded slipping on his vest, you should relax pervy sage, mom, and I won't let this Tsunade person hurt you unless it's warranted. What would you consider as warranted, kid? Jiraiya asked. Hitting you for no reason, if she has a reason to hit you, then the assault needs to be justified, which means anything perverted in your case, the orange-haired Saiyan smirked. Thanks for that vote of confidence, kid, Jiraiya sighed. You got an hour, Naruto, say your goodbyes to Sakura, Hinata, and your godmother before you leave, Minato stated. Naruto nodded, I got it, if I didn't say anything before I left Sakura-chan, and Hinata-chan would never forgive me, and Makoto Abasan would cry, not something I ever look forward to. The orange-haired Saiyan left leaving the student and teacher alone. Do you think the Akatsuki know about Naruto's current strength? Minato asked. Jiraiya shook his head, no, however Goten may have tipped them off that he's got at least some increased protection inside these walls, so they'll be twice as desperate to grab him outside. That's why I suggested bringing Kushina along, it'll make whoever they send think twice about attacking him outright with both Jiraiya of the Sannin and the red-hot Habanero of death protecting him. Minato frowned grimly, placing both his hands under his chin, thinking. Outside Itachi, Haiden, and Kakuzu, who else is a part of this organization? Right now unknown, at any rate they don't know the fox is dead, Jiraiya stated. Minato grimaced slightly, that's not entirely true, half of the fox is dead. What do you mean? Jiraiya stated. I gave the yin half to Naruto the night he was born, the yang half I sealed inside myself, and we both went into the belly of the Shinigami. My soul was stuck inside the seal that I left inside Naruto. When Vegeta made his wish, the eternal dragon didn't exactly pull a body from the ether. He restored Kushina and my body, with everything pretty much intact, including the yang chakra of the 9 tails still sealed inside my body. Minato lifted his shirt and channeled some chakra into the seal, revealing it. Jiraiya's eyes widened, how could everyone overlook that? Minato chuckled weakly, tucking his shirt back in. I didn't realize until after my fight with Orochimaru. I noticed how unstable my chakra was, I barely could hold the Rasengan together. Kushina was the one who spotted the seal last night, the fourth Hokage rolled his eyes, noting his sensei getting a perverted smile on his face. Anyway, I meditated like you taught me and found the 9 tails inside a cage with the seal. Surprisingly enough, he was pretty subdued. When I asked him why, he stated he felt his yang half dissipated. Jiraiya nodded, well, I better get going now. I have even more reason to make sure we got all our big guns inside the village. With that, the Toad Sage left. You didn't tell him about Kagaya. Kurama suddenly spoke up. I doubt we'll really need to worry about her, with Naruto, Sakura, Hinata, Trunks, and Goten in this village alongside Trunks and Goten's family. I'd say the Hidden Leaf would be the safest village on the planet, Minato explained. The fox nodded. The experience of actually dying even for a brief period was an eye-opener and not something he wanted to repeat, especially since his previous Jinchuriki was now eons beyond him in power. Both Hinata and Sakura grumbled looking at their fiancé as he finished getting ready for his mission. How long do you think it'll be? Sakura asked. Depends on how good Pervy Sage's spy network is, the orange-haired Saiyan gently kissed his red-haired lover who stood back and frowned at him. Not being fair Naruto-kun, she pouted earning a giggle from her co-fiancé glancing at the Hyuga before sighing. Sakura took a deep breath, training, and more training until you get back. You think these Akatsuki clowns are going to move forward when they realize how strong you are? Naruto nodded, more than likely try and attack me, looking for Princess Tsunade, if they do well, it'll be at least 2 less members to worry about, believe it. Still be careful Naruto, Sakura-san and I can't bear the thought of losing you, Hinata finally spoke up. Naruto leaned over and kissed Hinata, I'll be careful promise of a lifetime, believe it. Both girls watched as the young man they both have come to love more than life itself left the house, giving them both a brief thumbs up. What if Naruto becomes a Saiyan thanks to Vegeta, end here, and thanks for watching my video till the end.